welcome back. 45 minutes to an hour. We're here for you. You can phone in via the Skype line. That's going to be opening very soon. But in the very near future, we'll be going to Discord only. You'll be able to phone in via Discord, get yourself heard, get your opinions across. To sign up to the Discord server, the link is inside our description below. So go get that sorted right about now, ladies and gentlemen. Go down there now, click on the link or save it for later. Sign up. Nearly 1,000 people using the server now as well, which is absolutely amazing. We're going to get that to well over 5,000 by Christmas. It's an amazing community and you're a big part of that. So we want you there right now. We're here to talk Cavani. We're going to be delving into the Instagram post that he put out, the potential ban that he is facing. And I do want your views and opinions. Do you think that it's absolutely right that he gets banned? Do you think that this is a storm in a teacup and people are making too much out of it? Equally, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans especially try to equate this tweet to his friend to what Luis Suarez did to Patrice Evra, because a very similar word or the same word was used. So we're going to delve into those elements of the story. I want to know what you think and feel about it. Phone up via the Skype lines and give us your opinions. Should he be banned? For how long for? Or do you think people just need to calm down? What is your opinion? Of course, I'm going to give you mine later on in the show. I also want to speak about Mikel Arteta, hashtag Mike L. Southgate, hashtag the Tapas Pulas. Is he good enough for Arsenal, or should he be sacked? Gooners, you can have your say as well. Before you go any further, hit that like and share button right about now. Right about now. Get it done, people. Hello to Kevin and Twisted Bubba. Who knows? My members in the house. Hope you're all doing very well. Comment here says Cavani is the only player keeping Ollie in a job. For me, that element of Cavani is irrelevant right now. What he's doing as a football player, I couldn't care less about, if I'm being absolutely honest with you. That isn't the important bit here for me. Of course, I'm going to give you my opinion a little bit later on in the show about what I think should happen, the severity of what has been said. And of course, this is a severe matter because language is important. The way we conduct ourselves as a footballing nation is important. And the FA do need to take charge of this matter. Manchester United need to take charge of this matter. And action at some level needs to be taken. And I think I have seen sort of some people suggest that, oh, nothing should happen. It's all good. It's all okay. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there needs to be an element of, there needs to be a conversation here. There needs to be all sorts of things that go on, but I'm going to delve into that in more detail a little bit later. But I'm more interested in what you have to say about it. So give the show a call right about now. Terry, I've subscribed, mate. Thank you very much. That is sure. I'm going to try and pronounce this right. My dyslexic brain doesn't work very well. Where's that name gone? Shazib, maybe CMCFC. Thank you very much for subscribing, my brother. I really do appreciate that. Comment here from Alfred Russ, who says, this pisses me off. Even as a Chelsea fan, I think it sucks. Cavani has been one of my favorite players since his Napoli days. But when you say it annoys you and upsets you, can you give me context? I don't know what you're annoyed about. I don't know what you're annoyed about. I want your views and I want your opinions on this. Thank you, Lincoln, for sharing the link for the Discord. There we go. Remember, Gooners, we want to hear from you about Mikel Arteta as well. Smash that like button, hit the share button as well. Very important to the football terrace. Remember, 9 p.m. tonight as well, that Arsenal show is back on 9 p.m. Make sure you are tuning in. Is your voice back, Terry? Yes, it is. My voice came back by yesterday afternoon, if I'm being honest with you. It came back by yesterday afternoon, so that is what it is. So let's delve into this in a little bit more detail and let's see what's going on. The first thing I wanted to talk about actually is the apology that Cavani has given today. I'm going to put that up on the screen in just a moment. It's here. He says that the message I posted after the game on Sunday was intended as an affectionate greeting to a friend, thanking him for his congratulations after the game. The last thing I wanted to do was cause offense to anyone. I'm completely opposed to racism and deleted the message as soon as it was explained that it can be interpreted differently. I know I would like to sincerely apologize for this. That's what he has come out and had to say as an individual. I think it's sincere. And I just want to give you my opinion on this. I think it's a sincere apology. I think he means it. I don't think this situation is comparable at all to the one of Luis Suarez, which so many people keep talking about. They keep referring to. Suarez used the word. Suarez got banned. That means that Cavani needs to be banned. That is the general sort of, and I want to say consensus. I mean, that's the general consensus that I'm hearing from a percentage of Liverpool fans and people on social media. And from my point of view, I just don't think the two things can be compared. For me, it's a stupid thing to have put out. I'm frustrated that Cavani doesn't have the education to know that using that word when you're, in my opinion, when you're in Europe, let alone in the UK, is wrong. But do I think contextually he meant it in a derogatory, demeaning, nasty, horrible way? Absolutely not. Do I think a ban will happen? Yeah, I think there'll be a one, maybe a 2-match ban for Edinson Cavani, and I think that'll be fair when you compare it to what happened to Bernardo Silva. What you may actually see, though, is the FA come down a little bit harder, especially after what they've had going on internally in recent weeks with the chief honcho obviously being removed for derogatory comments he made. The FA might want to make a real example of somebody here to say we stand against racism. But I think what's really cruel with this, and listen, criticize Cavani for putting it out all you want. I think you're absolutely right to. Where I think people are going too far with this is conflating it and comparing it to the situation with Luis Suarez. That for me is just absolutely reprehensible. It's intellectually dishonest. It's disingenuous. It's cruel and it's nasty, because that was very much a man demeaning somebody because of the color of his skin, as opposed to putting across an affectionate term that in the homeland of Cavani is deemed acceptable. Now, that doesn't mean because it's acceptable in Uruguay that it should be allowed here. It doesn't mean that the player shouldn't face a ban, that he shouldn't have to face a series of sort of education, like an educational program to enhance himself. All these things should happen. And of course, the apology has already come. I think blindly defending Cavani is also wrong in that regard. Listen to what's being said. Listen to people in authority. Listen to people that understand the nuances, the history behind these words and where they come from, and take it all on board and know that it isn't acceptable in 2020 to be using these words on social media, in public, even in private, to a large extent. That's my kind of view on this. I think it's something that does warrant a game or two ban. It's something that is wrong. But do I think it comes from an ill place? Do I think it comes from a hateful place? Absolutely not. I think the apology and the ban and the further education should be enough, and a line be drawn under it. But everybody's going to have a different view and opinion, and I'm always up for listening to these conversations in great detail and understanding why people think what they do and feel what they do. But as I've said already, for me, comparing this to the situation with Luis Suarez is completely and utterly intellectually dishonest. There's no doubt about that at all in my mind. I think it's really wrong. And we can even look here at some of the transcripts from that situation. You can see why it's so different here. It goes on to say the FA's case, in short, was as follows. In the goalmouth, Mr. Evra and Mr. Suarez spoke to each other in Spanish. Mr. Evra asked Mr. Suarez why he had kicked him, referring to a foul 5 minutes previous. Suarez replied, I can't speak. I'm not going to speak the words, meaning because you are black. Patrice Evra then said to Suarez, say that to me again. I'm going to punch you. Suarez replied in Spanish, meaning I don't speak to blacks. Mr. Evra continued saying that he now thought he was going to punch Suarez. Mr. Suarez replied again, saying, okay, blackie, blackie, blackie. And I'm reading these words out here. Now, to compare that moment, to compare what Suarez has done here to the situation with Cavani, as I say, I think it's absolutely grotesque. I think it is vile. But if you are sitting there right now watching my stream and you think they're the same thing, if you think Cavani should be punished to the same degree or more severely than Luis Suarez, give the show a call. Come and give us your say. We want to hear from you on this matter. We really, really do. The Skype lines are open. We're going to go to our first callers. We are taking calls as well in relation to Mikel Arteta. So we want to hear from everybody on this. We're going to have Mansour Ahmed up on this first of all. There was a comment here from Nick Sports that said 100% right here, Terry. Going forward, all Premier League clubs should have cultural liaison officers who are tasked with educating foreign players when they sign for clubs. And I think that is absolutely right, because everybody plays a part here. And education is the most, I've always said it, education and integration are the two most important ways that you stop bigotry in any way, shape or form. And it's required, not just dragging somebody over the coals. Of course, it has to be the want to learn. And I think Cavani's doing that. But as I keep referring to, the people that are trying to compare this to the Luis Suarez situation, you're not helping any matters in any way. Mansour Ahmed's on the line. Mansour, what do you want to say?
Hi, Terry. How are you doing, okay?
Yeah, I'm very well, my friend. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so obviously, for me, from my point of view, I do think Cavani has made a mistake. I mean, you can see from his apology that it is a sincere apology. And not, I mean, we're not going to let him off the hook. I mean, a match ban suffice is probably sufficient. I mean, one match, because we still got to put a stamp saying that those type of languages is not acceptable.
Yeah.
But I do think he has made a mistake. And we're comparing that to the Suarez case is just it's just horrific, because Suarez was being racist at the time. He was using language, and the context that Suarez was doing it at was in a racist manner. Whereas Cavani, you could if he was using, let's just hypothetically say he was using it in a racist manner, that would have been kept up for a long time, would have not been removed straight away, and he would have not apologized sincerely straight away. From my opinion, I think Cavani made a mistake. He apologized sincerely. Yes, he does need to have a match ban just for a stamp to be put out. Listen, guys, when you do post Instagram posts, make sure you double check what you put in and make sure it's correct. And what Nick said is probably the correct thing to do, is to get someone like a cultural officer to educate them and to check them through to see what they're putting out is good.
No, listen, Mansour, I completely and utterly agree with everything that you've said to a large extent. I think you're absolutely right. It's a very sensible approach. Thank you for your call. Next up on the show, we've got Elite KJ, who's going to come and have his say as well. And look, I keep getting people in the comments and it's exactly the same as Luis Suarez. Listen, I think you're absolutely wrong. I think that kind of opinion is abhorrent. And the irony in it is this: you're not talking about it because you're worried about the language that's being used or people that are offended, upset by it. You're doing it to score points because of your rivalry when it comes to football. You were using a word which has deep, painful meaning for a whole a mass group of people from around the world, and you're using it to score points between your two football clubs. That makes you a very nasty, cruel person. Lee KJ's with us. What you saying, mate?
Oh man, it's just unfortunate that this has happened, because he had such a great game. He performed so well, and this is going to be something that people use to tarnish everything that he did that day. This is ignorance. Basically just at play. People think that hate speech and ignorance go hand in hand, and they can do, but in this instance, this is just ignorance. He wasn't trying to be hateful. He was just trying to be just endearing. He's trying to be what you could consider trying to be cool and hip. He's trying to be like, yo, my bro, thank you and all that. So you know what I mean? So I understand that. It's just, for him, it's one of those ones where, like, you've got to respect the laws of the land. You've got to learn about the country that you're coming to, and in this country, that's not acceptable. It shouldn't be acceptable in Uruguay, but it clearly is. For whatever reason, that's a different conversation and debate altogether. But Cavani is just being ignorant here. He should get banned. He should get the same amount of ban that Bernardo Silva got. And if you think about the response that Bernardo Silva and Pep Guardiola had about the whole situation, he's had a better response to it by holding his hands up, apologizing, and basically saying, yeah, like, I've messed up. Bernardo Silva and them man try to act like there's nothing wrong. So, like, if Bernardo Silva got one match ban for that and he didn't want to apologize at the start, then I think Cavani should also get a one match ban. He should also go through diversity training or something if that's what's required. And then after that, we should leave it. Because I feel like people are going to try and use this to beat him with a stick. I mean, your family's messed up. He owns it. He's done his punishment. What more do you want?
Yeah, and I think, look, for me, I'll always listen and be educated on these matters by the BAME community, because again, it's a different feeling to people that come from, in the UK, for an example, come from an ethnic minority, as it were. I think for me, there are two differences between the Suarez situation was pure hate. Suarez was saying something to belittle, demean, and be nasty to Patrice Evra. Bernardo Silva's was a joke. It was meant to take the mickey out of somebody. With Cavani's, I mean, and this is why context, I think, is so key in life. It doesn't mean it isn't offensive. It doesn't mean that it's right because it's in a different context. But he's done it as a term of endearment to a friend, thinking he's being friendly. He isn't trying to make a joke, and he isn't trying to be horrible. And the fact that you're right, I think what's really good of him is to come out and say, do you know what? I'm not defending it. I'm saying what I did. I'm putting my hands up and say, I am wrong. I want to learn from this and I want to move on from it. I think his response is absolutely perfect, because it's not like he's tried to, if he'd have said, oh, it's how we speak in my country, but okay, I'll change here, that would make it sound a little bit insincere. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I saw Lincoln say, oh, he was class for doing that, for doing that project. Personally, I don't think it's class. He just did what he's supposed to do in this situation. So there's no like extra credit given to Cavani at all in this situation. He made a mistake. He owned up to it, like every person should do. But yeah, like he's not being like, he's not trying to be racist. And there's a lot of situations where people are ignorant and they're trying to be friendly, or they're trying to seem like, oh, I can speak to these people, and trip up on their words and say the wrong thing. Now, I feel like when that happens, you have to, yes, educate them and criticize what they did. But then this is where grace, and this is where forgiveness, this is where redemption and rehabilitation comes in. You got to give these people a chance to learn from these mistakes and actually move forward, because otherwise it'll just be a perpetual cycle of, as soon as you make a mistake, you that's it. It's just punishment for life. And what's the point? Like, how are we supposed to grow as a community and society if you don't get a chance to learn from your mistakes?
Of course, and I think what Cavani has done is very different to other players we've mentioned so far on this show who didn't apologize. I'm not even sure if Luis Suarez to this day has apologized for what he did. Maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I don't know. But the point is, I think you're right. People should be allowed to move on from their mistakes once they've owned those mistakes. And I think that's what I would say about Cavani is he's getting, I think you're absolutely right. He's getting no praise for doing that, but he has done it. He'll take his punishment now, take it on the chin, don't appeal it, nothing stupid, put the education in, then crack back on with your football. Because I would say that, in my view, looking at social media today, 95% of people across all teams are like, listen, he's messed up. We know it hasn't come from a place of hate. Take your punishment on the chin, wipe our mouths, we move on, and you come again. That for me tends to be the consensus and the feeling that I'm getting from people. But maybe there's some individuals out there that think he deserves. I mean, I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans on Twitter saying he needs an 8-game plus ban. I think Troy Deeney has said that he should get more than a 3-game ban for this. I mean, what's your thoughts of banning him for that amount of time for this?
As I said, if Bernardo Silva can do what he did and not want to apologize and come out just saying, oh, yo, I say this all the time, we're friends, why has everyone got an issue and beef with people on Twitter, and he gets, 1-game ban and a fine, then Cavani should get 1-game ban and a fine.
I hear that. We've added Z to the line as well. I'm going to go to Z in a few seconds. We've got some super chats here. The first one from Custardberry Tart. That's a great name. It says, Arteta should be sacked. It is simply not good enough right now. The issue, however, is the board. They won't replace him with the right manager. Sounds like Man United. Another super chat here from Baz1 says, I've just disappointed. He was a veteran. This is why social media is poison for athletes. Nothing good comes out of it. Z, what's your thoughts on this, mate?
Oh, sorry.
I was lost there for a second. Yeah. Basically, my thing is, it's basically a culture thing, what people need to understand. And there's a lot of ignorance going on right now, especially from Troy Deeney. It's clear that he don't know the difference between certain cultures. I'm from Angola. In certain parts of Africa, for example, how we may refer to Caucasian people. If one of those people, if say, for example, a Caucasian guy playing in the African team said the same thing on their Instagram story, people might reflect on it the same way. Obviously, like I said, I think a game ban is the right punishment. I don't even want to call it punishment or just a bit of education and just learn from it. But it's a lot of people are looking at it way too deep, because if you ever go to South America, which I've been fortunate to go to visit, you'd actually see that's exactly how they talk. And a lot of people don't take offense to it. It depends on how you interpret it. And I'm speaking this as a black person, and a lot of people won't take well in the comments, but it just comes down to interpretation and a lot of ignorance. It's not right to certain beliefs, but that's their culture, and I don't think they mean it with any sort of intent.
No, I would agree with that as well, but I feel like this is with ignorance. When you've come from a different culture, you've moved country, and therefore you should do the research on that country and what is acceptable and what's not. We can't go to Dubai and do certain things. We can't go to the UAE and do certain things because culturally that's not acceptable in that land. Yeah. So we don't go over there and do that.
I totally understand that.
So you know what I mean? Like culturally, yes, it might be fine in Uruguay, but he's really Edinson Cavani is a smart man. He knows more about languages, so he really should have done due diligence and for actually.
I totally understand that, but you got to understand, for example, you've got places like the Caribbean where they refer to lighter skinned people as red skin, or they refer to the things as chin. So it goes on in quite a few places, and it's just like I said, it's education. And the thing is, it's not like he's just saying it to someone. So when it's being compared to the Luis Suarez situation, that's just stupidity.
Yeah,
it's not as if it's being compared to someone. He's literally speaking to a mate, and it's what they say. The actual term of which obviously, like I agree with what KJ said earlier. Shouldn't be used, but the actual term and the meaning behind the term is more a reflection of color, whereas compared to the term that we're used to using within our country. And the thing is as well, that's what it is. It's a catch-22 here. It's a catch-22.
Listen, I was saying in the group chat earlier when we were talking about this all day that this subject matter I'm fascinated by, because I don't know where personally I can't draw the line for multiple reasons in terms of I hear your points there, Z, around, well, culturally he's saying nothing wrong. We're actually, but you're almost, and quote me if I'm wrong here, stop me if I'm wrong, you're almost saying to an extent like we're wrong because we don't understand his culture. You will have some people out there, and I've seen it on socials.
Not saying that. I'm saying the ignorance in terms of the way people are taken to it.
No. And I get that. And I think that this is why this conversation, I think it is intriguing, because the Luis Suarez thing, like you've mentioned, he was saying what he was saying to Patrice Evra to upset him, demeaning and hurt him. It doesn't matter about the culture of Uruguay, the culture of Spain, the culture of Holland before he came. He was trying to undermine and belittle the man. This is something I sort of get the feeling with Cavani. He's come off the pitch. He is absolutely buzzing. And for a moment, he's forgot himself and messaged somebody publicly how we would probably have messaged that guy privately. And we all know, and every single person knows, they've got group chats where they say certain things that they probably wouldn't say out loud anymore. 100%. They wouldn't say it in a public environment. That is probably what he's done. However, he has done it. Somebody here, Centurion's 100 points, says Bernardo actually got a 3-game ban and a fine. Educate your facts, right? Thank you. You've educated us, so thank you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
Thank you. Sorry we got it wrong.
If that's the case, 3-game ban and a fine.
Yeah, then I would think that is fair. The only thing I think that Cavani has in his favour is that he's come straight out and apologised. The club have apologised. They haven't sat back and gone, we ain't done nothing wrong. And I think that that's where he could find himself with lesser ban. But I also get the feeling, put Cavani aside, I think the FA are going to want to make a statement with everything else that has gone on in recent times. But as I was saying, these subject matters really fascinate me because people do have different views depending on the part of the world they're from, depending on their age, depending on their background. And for me, I'm here. Yes, I've given you my opinion, but I'm here to listen to you, the viewers, what you think and feel, because I want to be educated on this subject matter as well. We are taking your calls. Z and KJ are with us on the line. We've got another super chat here from Monster that says, one thing I don't understand with Arsenal fans is still not saying Arteta's tactics are whack. I hope he continues. I we continue to see the banter, but it's been 15 games and still plays 11 players behind the ball. We will change the subject matter slightly. I've got you boys on here. I wanted to speak Arteta because KJ, you didn't come on the show last night. I know you did Midnight Vibe, banging show again last night, mate. Well done. And Z,
Yeah, that's a good show.
Arsenal are in the mud. It's a lighten the mood a little bit. We like lighten the mood a bit. Arsenal are in the mud, right? Arsenal, do you know what's mad, right? I think Arsenal's downfall could bring the world together. I think it has that kind of potency to it. I know that some are blaming the board. I know that likes of man like Gal and Ty are still backing the manager. Do you guys think this is a club issue? Or do you think a big part of this is the fact that Arteta is just out of his depth? What's your opinion, gents? I'll go to KJ first on this.
You know me, yeah. As much as I enjoy the sorrows of Arsenal and Arsenal fans, I like to inject into my veins the drug to me. I understand the pain that they're going through because we're experiencing the same pain. So for me, it's a resistance team. You know what I mean? Viva la Resistance. They really, as a fan base, need to stop using their energy on Arteta, who is what he is. We know, we can all clearly see that Arteta is not ready for a job like this. He needs to be in a club that is in a secure place where he's allowed to make mistakes and they're not just going to buckle under the pressure to get rid of him. Arsenal are not that club to do that. You can go into a lower Premier League team, lower Championship team, or even a team in La Liga or Ligue 1. You know what I mean? There's so many places and clubs that are built better for young managers to get experience than Arsenal. So we know what Arteta is. The issue is that what has happened is that Arsenal fans gassed him up so much like he's the prophet that's going to save them, that he's the next Messiah that to come save them, and forgot who on earth hired him in the first place. Like, you remember these guys that run Arsenal are not good at their job. So how can you go from screaming Kroenke out to say it and then be like, trust the process? That makes no sense, because they hired an inexperienced manager who's never managed before and he's just been an assistant manager.
Mate,
that makes no sense.
I think what you said there is, I think what you just said there is perfect, absolutely perfect, in the sense of they got. I think Arsenal Football Club have been suckered into the PR. Lee Gunner has been spot on the buzzwords, project, non-negotiable, all the kind of corporate buzzwords that just bore us all when we're at work have been used, and the Arsenal fans are going, "Oh, I like this. It sounds official, so it must be official." But in fact, there's been no real movement forward. In fact, it's the worst start Arsenal Football Club have had in Premier League history. The worst start. Worse than last season, worse than Wenger's last year. Just absolutely terrible. Before we go to Z on this, do me a big favor, everyone tuning in, smash that like button. Over 1,000 people watching. We want to try and get the ratio to about 50%. So whatever the number of viewers are, let's get 50% of people hitting that like button for us. Also, go into the link in the description below and sign up now to Discord. Our Discord server is up. It's operational. It's functioning. It's amazing. I'm really enjoying it. It's just like the live chat you're in right now and watching, but it's consistent. Z, from your point of view, what you saying about Arsenal?
Arsenal, it's Arsenal. I got my nickname for them, but it's too early to call them that. But as I said, Di Matteo 2.0. That's all it is. Arsenal fans have been living off the failures of other clubs, and this is what you get for living in your own hype. Everything you lot do, be in United, you lot live off moments. You're not really up for it, and you're not really contenders. I've always said Arteta was getting praised for everything Oli done coming at the beginning of his reign at United, be in the top 6 clubs, bringing a bit of excitement. But look what he's done. What has he done since? Where Arsenal are sitting in the table is disgusting. They've got the lowest shots on goal out of all 91 teams in all English leagues. It's disgusting.
They've scored 10 goals this season, fam. 10.
Their second highest goal scorer is their centre back, and he's got 2 goals.
Yeah, do you know what's crazy about it is this? I keep saying to Arsenal fans, right? Like, they keep saying, yeah, but United aren't much better. Do you know what? We have to win our game in hand, but we could go third if we win our game in hand. Equally, we're currently top of a Champions League group that includes RB Leipzig and Paris Saint-Germain. To even compare our start of the season to yours, barring out that our 6-1 defeat is an absolute L, we've got to live with that. Barring that one game, like Arsenal start to the season there's nothing to write home about. Like, yes, you beat Man United, cool, if that's your season. But remember what the likes of DT and that was saying. They're not worried about all the small teams around them. They're only concerned about how far away from the top of the league they are. So if that's the case, you should be fuming right now because what are you? 8 points, 9 points off the top already. You're 8-9 points away from Tottenham already. You can't score, you can't create, and now Arteta's feeling the pressure and you're starting to attack and you're being picked off at the back, man. Yet you're being opened up left, right, and center. You're being opened up like a tin of Heinz baked beans. Yusuf's with us as well now, joins myself, Elite KJ and Z on the line. Yusuf, what do you want to say, mate?
I just want to talk a little bit about how people compare Arteta to Oli. Now, I think the best way to judge a manager and how well he's doing is see how long he can string a run for. Because that's what's going to win you a title. If he can put 5 games in a row that he can win in, or like 5 games where he gets like, let's say 3 wins and a draw and 2 draws, then if he can't do that, why would you keep him? He won't win you a title ever if he can't do that. 5 games. You got to get 5 games in a row where you see something. I haven't seen that with Arsenal personally. We've seen that with Oli 3 times already. And he's still getting disrespected. It's all agenda. You got to think about it in the big picture. Maybe Oli isn't the way forward, but he's the right man for the right moment right now.
Let me ask you that question, Z. If you and KJ, if you had the choice now, we could only pick between the 2 managers available to manage this Man United team, Arteta and Oli. Which of the 2 are you picking?
I'm going Oli.
Yeah,
Arteta is just a defensive coach, and I've come to the conclusion that ever since Arteta's left City, their defense has gotten shaky. For Arsenal's defense have gotten solid, but they're still attacking. So people need to understand there's coaches that come in to clubs to do their roles. It's noticeable that Man City's defense have become shaky, Arsenal's defense has become solid, but City's still attacking. So it's clear that what his role is and what his philosophy on football is. It's Oli all day.
Yeah, I would pick Oli. You said just something there where you said Arsenal's defense has become more solid. It means nothing if you still lose games.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And yes, they may not be getting pumped like they used to do against the big teams, and maybe them surprise shock games where they get pumped by a smaller team. But all this improved defense, 3 at the back, playing a Aubameyang left wing back is pointless if you still lose. And that's why I'm confused with Arsenal fans who scream about their defensive record. I'm like, your fam, you're 14th with that defensive record. How's that good?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like I said, it's just because if they're going to keep knocking at the door. People are going to keep knocking at the door, and that's what they do with Arsenal when you're inviting that pressure. And their players are not mentally strong. They ain't got that fight in them. I personally look at Aubameyang and I feel that Aubameyang's finished. I think he's given up. And also another point to point out, I think how with Ozil being such a huge character in the changing room and amongst them, they're all friends. And Ozil and Arteta were friends. Him being left out of the squad, yeah, we know it's bigger than Arteta, but do you think that's taken a turn on the lads as well in the dressing room?
I think so, because we at United we can see what happens when the management at board level is not good.
Yeah,
it seeps into the club. So if I'm an Arsenal player, seeing one of our best players and one of my good friends got ostracized for non-footballing reasons, even though they're saying it's football, it's not footballing reasons why Ozil's not playing.
I mean, he on a creative level, a half-fit, one-legged Ozil is better than Dani Ceballos. So
he is, and that's facts. And if I'm a player seeing that, I'm like, yo, what are going with this club?
Yeah, exactly.
When we losing games, the owner's never there. My actual, like, if you want to say my boss, because Kroenke is all their bosses. You know what I'm saying? My CEO, my boss, he never comes to games. He's never ran the training ground. He's not there being like, actually, guys, I want this football club to be the best in England. So what are you guys doing? From the moment that that's not happening, that you got players like Mustafi, you got players like Kolasinac, you got all like players like Xhaka getting these big contracts. What like literally looking around as a player, you'd be like, what's the point of being here? Like, why should I try? Because these men don't try and they get these peas, fam.
No, mate, the way your club's run is important. There's a super chat here I put up from Tell. Now, I don't know how accurate this is. I need to do it, but it says in the last 40 games played, Man United have won 27, drawn 7, lost 6. Liverpool, last 40 games, won 23, drawn 7, lost 10. Man City have won 27, drawn 4, lost 9. I mean, that's I love seeing statistics like that. I mean, and if you go 40 games back, that 40 games it takes us almost to that. That takes us to the first game after the back-to-back defeats to Liverpool and Burnley. So again, if you go 42 games, the record doesn't look as good, and Liverpool's improves. But do you know what I always find interesting about that is we're almost getting to a year ago where United fans are like, you need to improve now, Ollie, or you're going to get sacked. I do find it disrespectful and a bit disingenuous from people where since that point, he has improved dramatically, and yet nobody wants to recognize it. You know, he played it down himself, but he just won 8 games away on the bounce from home. And people that don't like him, like, he done nothing because of manager. I'm like, bro, you don't win 8 games away from home because you're a trash manager. You may not be good enough to win the Premier League, but I do think with Ollie, the slander, I think he's done enough now to not be considered a manager at the sort of, you know, like of the absolute, like
the pits.
Yeah. He shouldn't be in that level. I think it's become disrespectful over a 40 game pit. Like, this is the thing. If you'd gone back 40 games ago and said to Man United fans, in the next 40 games, you'll win 27, draw 7, lose 6. It'll be a better record than City and Liverpool's. Every Man United fan would have grabbed it. Same as the beginning of this season. We said it last night. I've not been happy with some performances. But you know what? If somebody would have said, you're 1 win away, like a game in hand away from going 3rd and top of your Champions League group 10 games into the season, we'd have all bit their hand off for that. Now, I'm not saying we can't do better than Ollie. I'm never going to say that until I see Ollie move up another level. But at the same time, to not recognize a nigh on, I mean, what is that? I mean, I don't know. I'm going to do the maths here on that right now as an example. Win percentage, 27 divided by 40 is what? I mean, it's nearly a 68% win percentage. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's the reason why this gets masked with outrage and it feels like we haven't done anything and it feels like we haven't progressed. It's because the way we do win. It hasn't been pretty a lot of the times. Like, there have been times where it's been sensational, like post lockdown, the Avengers gas and that. So we have had those moments, but for the most part, the wins haven't been pretty. They haven't been clean. There have been lapses in judgment, even in the wins. And then the way we lose as well, it just like puts more on us, and that's why it's hard to believe. It's literally, when I heard that, I was like, "Rah, like, really? You don't feel like that." But it's just because the way that we do it. It's also because the way that the media come at us and the way that our own fans lap it up. Like I said this to my friend the other day. It's like, we are like, the Man United fans are one of Man United's biggest enemies right now.
Yeah.
Like, we do not help our own club. It's very mad.
I think it's also down to the thing is with Arteta and the Ollie argument is because Arteta has a system that he's stuck to. It's not working out for him. And I think that's the argument that people like to bring to the table. He has a system that is stuck with him. He's building from the back. And after everyone just has this thought of thinking, you know what, if he adds in this extra bit, these few players, then they could create something. However, with Ollie, because he's not consistent with the lineup, he's not consistent with the formation. That's why everyone attacks him. But this is what I always say is, with Arteta, it's an if. Ollie hasn't managed to get his target, so he has to change his whole philosophy. And I keep saying this to people. Van Gaal, his football was branded as boring, slow, all these things because he never had the players that fit his philosophy. People need to understand when you ain't got the players that fit your philosophy, you have to change it. And that's why there'll be a lot of inconsistencies.
I hear that, boys. And do you know, I think for me, listen, there's still lots of areas for Ollie to improve on. And like I've said, I don't know if he ever will. I don't know if he's good enough to. We know the ball are a massive problem. A massive problem here. So go on, Yusuf. Go on, mate. You speak.
Yeah. I just want to point out a point of hypocrisy that I hear a lot. Now, Nagelsmann, we all say Nagelsmann is a whiz kid. He's insane. He plays multiple formations. He adapts, all that. When Ollie does that, we don't give him any credit. We played the diamond in 2 very big games, and I think we dominated both games where we played the diamond. Why are we beating him for like that? He adapted the team. He was able to play a diamond. We played well against Southampton, both halves, in my opinion. We were just wasteful the first, clinical the second. So
mate, I hear you on that, and this is what I mean. Like someone said to me the other day, but you don't think Ollie's good enough to win the league, but yet you have a go at the Ollie out mob. Like, yeah, because they're a mob and they don't. There's no praise. And I saw some Man United fans tweeting yesterday when Rashford missed. By the way, the offside. You know, he went through on goal with the 1-on-1 and missed. It was offside. It wouldn't have mattered if he scored or not. But I saw someone tweet. I saw this United fan tweet. This is why I don't rate. His words were, "This is why I don't rate Rashford. He's never been clinical." And I thought, what do you mean never? He's 23, which means he's not even reached peak age yet, which means you're moaning at him for being like nearly every other teenage and young football player in the history of the game, that he wasn't clinical enough yet. There have been, and you can go through it, and off the top of my head, barring R9 and barring Mbappe, I can't think of many other players between 18 and 23, 24 that were out and out prolific, scoring over 20 odd goals, 30 odd goals a season in all competitions, especially from wide positions. And do you know how we know this is true? When you compare Rashford at this exact same age to the Thierry Henrys, the Ronaldos, the Rooneys, he's outproduced them in terms of numbers. Doesn't mean he's talented, but he's outproduced them in numbers. But again, it's like you say, there are these hypocrisies and almost these criticisms that we apply that are just the standard and the bar is too high. What do you mean he's not been clinical enough? He doesn't convert enough chances. At the end of the 2 seasons running, he's been one of the highest scoring and producers of goal contributions for a player under the age of 23 across the top 5 leagues in Europe. So the point I'm making is that in his age bracket, barring Mbappe and last year, and I think Haaland and Sancho, so only 3 players in the last couple of years. And by the way, Mbappe doesn't count because he's not considered in one of the top 4 leagues. So it's only him and I think Haaland and Sancho that have produced higher outputs than him in the last 12 months, and in the last 3 years, no one on a consistent basis. I saw the stats somewhere from Statman Dave, so I don't know at the top of my head. And you know, you look at it and you go, we're just that harsh on him. Like he gets put in this bracket where he can't miss. And the point is, if you find a Haaland's outproducing him, cool. Sancho's outproducing him, cool. That doesn't make Rashford trash. Because who else are you bringing in that's going to be better? Because across Europe,
apparently Adama Traore, isn't it?
Yeah, but you get my point. Now, I'm not saying Rashford can't improve. You know, another guy says to me, "Yeah, but his decision making's bad." And it's always, well, quantify that, please. What more does he need to do? The same as on Ollie. I don't care about people anymore. I want to recognize style of play from Ollie. I don't care. I want to hear that. I want to know. I want to win games. I don't care if Ollie changes formation, system, style, players every week if we went on to win the league. That for me is secondary. I care about how you perform. So I kind of got dragged into this Rashford hype. He's not improving. He hasn't got better. And then start to look at it and go, well, in his first season, how did he compare to other people in his age category in the top 4 leagues? One of the top. Every year, he's one of the top of the classes within his age bracket. So what do you mean he isn't good enough? I don't know where they get this. It's mythology. It's absolute mythology. And I think Ollie goes through the same thing. You don't need to say they're world-class best. You don't need to say Ollie's going to win us the Premier League. But to recognize no achievement. Like we had a United fan on the show live about 2 months ago saying there's been no improvement since Ollie's been the manager. And it's just a lie. And I'm sick and tired of people lying to push their agendas about players. I think it's wrong.
I'll say another thing that I want to pick up on, and this goes out to the Liverpool fans, right? with United fans, they need to have the same patience Liverpool fans have. I've seen so many hypocritical Liverpool fans sitting there saying, "Oh, we've Klopp, we trusted the process." Who remembers when Liverpool got rid of Sacco and how Liverpool, when Klopp got rid of Sacco, how Liverpool fans were livid? Who remembers when they lost the Europa League final after being a goal up at half time? These and after, it's like when the success comes, it's like, yeah, you could see what he's doing. That's the thing that people need to understand with the process. Some people see the process whilst it's going on, and then others only see the process once you reach, the success.
Your end goal, yeah. But there's a comment here. There's a comment here. Sorry, guys. It says Rashford has started most games in each season for the last 3 years. His record still isn't great. So again, my response.
No.
But my response.
Hey,
sorry, one sec. My response to that, and I'll come to Yusuf in a minute, is just in comparison to who historically and currently playing in an inside forward position or a wide position. Who is it not comparable to? Considering, by the way, that the same people attacking Rashford normally say Ollie's a PE teacher, the maths doesn't add up because it's almost like you're giving Rashford a standard that is above and beyond the expectations that other young players currently and in history were set. And if you're doing that, then your judgment isn't fair. And if your judgment isn't fair, it holds no water. It holds no water. Basically, you're chatting bollocks. Like, it doesn't make sense to say, oh, he just hasn't produced enough. Yeah, but he's outproducing like 95% of his peers now, and he's outproduced sort of 80 to 90% of his peers historically. So what more do you want from him? Because just because he's not doing an Mbappe or an R9 or a Haaland, that doesn't make him bad, because those people are like one in every 20,000 professional football players. It's weird. I find it strange. But you notice that's only a handful of players. Other individuals get given the freedom of the park to develop and be young, to be nurtured. There's no real pressure put around their neck. But every now and then, Rashford got it as an example. And it'll move on to another player pretty soon. I just find it strange. Yusuf, you were going to say something, mate.
Yeah, about the Rashford thing. Now, I've done this a while ago, and I found the paper on the table. I've done a comparison of Aubameyang and Rashford since Aubameyang joined the Premier League. Since Aubameyang joined the Premier League, 0.8 goals and assists per 90. Rashford is 0.78. And for the Champions League, since Aubameyang started, it's 0.72. And for Rashford, it's 0.88. So Rashford is producing as much as Aubameyang since they've been playing, like per 90. And people still slate Rashford. I don't get it.
Yeah, but that's the point, mate. That's the thing. Is when you start, and this is the thing with facts. When I get there's eye tests, and but I prefer the way Martial looks, or I prefer the way Sancho looks, and I don't even want to argue that. That's a preference, bruv. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of the Beatles music, but I can't argue with the fact that they've sold billions of records. I can't say they're trash. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a stupid thing to say because so many people like them then and still buy their records now. It just is what it is. I know people that don't like Drake's music for whatever reason. Can't say he's trash, though. He sells too many records to be rubbish. Do you get what I mean, right? He ain't like a reject at the X Factor auditions or nothing. And the same can be said here. When you start comparing Rashford to the majority of his peers, last season alone at 21 to 22, he was performing at the same level as many 26, 27, 28, 29-year-olds. Nah, it's not good enough. On what measurement, on what barometer is it not good enough? Bearing in mind that you said he's being coached by a PE teacher as well. So I don't understand it, guys. I mean, KJ, I mean, we've kind of got onto this organically. That's what I love about these shows. I mean, what's your views on we mentioned Ollie, like on the Rashford thing? We're getting it in the comments. Just he's trash. He's no good. He's headless chicken. But if he's that bad, why is he producing so much?
People need to relax and calm down. That we as a fan base, are so quick to throw away our own talented players. And what frustrates me, is that I'll hear things like, "Oh, Rashford's trash," or "Martial is trash. Get them out of the club. We don't need them." But then hear the same people saying that, say, "Oh, but Dan James could be really good if we had the right manager." What are you chatting about? What kind of foolishness is that? You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna back the team, back every single player, fam. I'm not saying that Marcus Rashford is perfect, because no player is perfect. A lot of our players have deficiencies. But the whole point of this game called football is a team game, and it's the team balance that hides our deficiencies. And last season, we got the best out of Martial, Rashford, Greenwood. Pogba had a good stint after lockdown. Bruno is coming in, he's done well. So if our players are producing and performing, yes, there might be things that are frustrating you about them, wish to improve, but they're still performing. It should be more of an excitement thing of, if he does sort this thing out, what a player we have in our hands.
Yeah.
But instead it's, he hasn't got this, so get him gone. I'm sick of it.
It's, I find it, as you say, mate, I find it just like staggering. Like I'm looking at Rashford now, and I'm using Rashford as an example because he seems to get it. Him and Pogba, they get it more than anybody else, and the fan base is always split on them. It's like I'm just, as you say, I'm consistent with both. You know, I look at all my players, but we look at this season so far, right? He's scored. I mean, this season Rashford scored in 50% of the games he's played in, and he's assisted in 22%. So his goal contribution level is like 70. Actually, I'm going to get rid of international stuff because international stuff is ridiculous. Sorry, yeah. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm just going to do it on a club level. It's even better. So it's 52% of games he's scored in and 26% of games that he's assisted in so far, as an example. He has, 4 assists and 8 goals. If you equate that across, and I'm doing this live, so I haven't pre-prepared this here, so I don't know what's going to come up. Let's just look at it this way. So that's 12 goal contributions, but he's played 1,379 minutes. You divide that by 90. It's about 15 games in total, right? Because you have to consider that when he came on against Leipzig, he scored a hat-trick, but he did it in half an hour. So he's played around 15 games, if you add it up. And in 15 games, 15.3, he's got 12 goal contributions. So if you were to divide that by the 15.3 games, it's about 78% of games he is effective at putting out outputs. Now, for me, I know that goals and assists are not always that great stats for all positions on the field, but I think for attacking players, they're a massive barometer. But if we compare that to I want to look at last season. Last season was his best ever season as a professional football player in terms of his outputs. If we look at that as a percentage level, he's pretty much there again if we look at this. So he got 30 goals and assists combined last year. That was across 3,511 minutes. So we worked this out. That's 39 games, right? So that divided by 39. So look, he was at 76% output ratio last year. So far this season, he's at 78%. So he's actually improved, right? And if for the next 2-3 seasons, he improves by 2-3-4% a year, up until he hits, say, 25, 26 and then stops. Imagine a player that in 80% of the games he plays in creates you or scores you a goal. That's amazing. It's legitimately amazing. I don't understand what more. He doesn't need to do any more than that to be a top-class player. I think if he wants to move on to world-class level, it's being influential in 80, 90% of games. But even that, right? Think about all the world-class stars we all remember as kids and years ago. They didn't perform in every game. They all have games in a season where they kind of go missing. Have you all seen that as well with certain football fans nowadays? Not just forget Rashford for a minute. I see it all the time. We all know how good KDB is, and we banter it, right? I know KDB is one of the best footballers in the world. If he goes 3 or 4 games without playing well, do any of you find it weird that the reaction is, "See, I told you weren't that good anyway"? You see that kind of thing a lot. Why? Yeah,
and to be fair, as much as I joke about it on With That Vibes about Obama who, Obama what, Obama where, fam, you know what I mean? The slander that he's getting now is yo, fam, he scored 20 plus goals for last how many seasons? Indiana tried to put my man in slander stand. I was like, what the heck are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Football fans nowadays are if you're not producing for me now, as soon as you start producing, that's it, you're done. I'm you've got United fans and rival fans saying Martial's finished and should get sold. I'm like, what? He was on top. He was one of our best players last season, and it's because he's had a bad start.
AJ, I'm against Martial though. I'll be honest. Before even last season, I think because football fans are just flip flops. That's all it is. You know, they're. At
least you're consistent with your agenda, fam. It stinks, but it's okay, fam. It's all good.
I'm just that person, but I think football fans just flip flop. It's whenever they suit, and now there's a lot of football fans are sheep. It's only when it suits them. And some footballers have pride. They got the pride. It's I say some of these footballers are they don't want to admit certain things certain times. It's like that ex that you really miss, but you don't want to send that text. Your pride. That's how they are. So that's why I can't really I can't really understand certain football fans, but this is what comes with the game. We've got social media, which allows people to have their opinion. The football is a game of opinion, but some opinions is just wild. Like Arsenal fans, why are you turning on Aubameyang? Like you look, and it's crazy. Like Partey, if Partey comes back and doesn't perform well, you made that song for him, and if you not turn on him, it's ridiculous. Like, like back your team. I'm not a fan of Dan James. I'm not a fan of Martial. I'm not a fan of quite a few players, but I back my team, and that's what it has to be.
I have no idea why you're not a fan of Martial, but it is what it is, isn't it?
I just think it's his attitude, mate. I just think it's his attitude, and that's the
What
thing.
attitude, bro?
Body language says it all for me.
Body
Terry,
language, bro.
Terry,
Come
sorry
on,
to
man.
come off the subject, but what's your thoughts on Martial, please?
Okay. I'm just gonna say this. I get it out the way. People out here acting like the eye test means anything. Half of people who watch football don't really understand football. That's including myself. Acting as if your eye test means everything. It doesn't mean crap. Because at the end of the day, we aren't football experts. The only thing that I can take for guaranteed is output. And Martial, he isn't doing well right now. But I think it's just a form thing. So it's not fair to judge players on a small sample. So you want to look at Martial, look at the big picture, then judge him.
Yeah, and I think he's been very, very good. I mean, and look, and I just started doing something while you gentlemen were talking. And who, in your opinion, gents, have been the best to I want to get the name of these the positioning right of these players, but who in your opinion have been the best to inside forward stroke kind of wingers in the Premier League for the past 4 or 5 years, in your opinion?
Oh, it's easy. Salah and Mane.
Okay, so I haven't done
in the past how many years?
It's just over the past say 3 to 4 seasons.
Yeah, Salah and Mane.
So Salah and Mane, right? So
Sane has an insane output. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and it does. But I'm going through this now, right? And I'm going to come back to you with the numbers in just a moment, because I want to, again, I think what you said there is right, Yusuf. The eye test is an interesting one. We all know some. Do you know, like, you know, all the top players that like are amazing in attacking positions. When you're in midfield, it's different, right? But the elite of the elite, like people, the other day when God rest his soul, when Maradona died, everybody was saying, "See, we all loved him because stats weren't important when he was a player." The man's his stats were outrageous, people. Like his stats were absolutely out of this world good. Like this guy, like he was out of this world. But people, there's a lot of people out there that want to sort of act like they were not. Do you get where I'm coming from? It's almost like I've never really understood it to a certain extent, where I sort of sit there to myself and think, I don't really get why people like put it down. Most of the top attacking players in the history of football have outstanding statistics. Now, just to give you an example here, the best 2 inside forwards in the league, by the way, playing for a much better team with a much better manager than Manchester United. Sadio Mane, right? In the last 4 years, scored or assisted in 58, 66, 56, and 65% of games he played in. Mo Salah, 60 so far this season, 76, then it was 66, 71, and then of course 4 seasons ago he had that amazing year where he scored or assisted in 117% of games that he played in. So Marcus Rashford last season, and so far this year, by the way, when he turned 22 and 23, prior to that, man was a teenager, right? Is producing in games and getting outputs to their level. Now, can his decision-making get better? Yes. Can he become more clinical? Yes. Can his movement still get better? Yes. There is still room for improvement. But yet, at a 78% contribution to game ratio, people act like his decision-making is the worst in the league, that he lacks creativity, and that he does nothing right. Can you see where I'm coming from here? I'm not say that he's as good as those 2 players. And this is where people get confused. They go, why are you saying he's as good? I'm not. I'm stating that your hyperbolic nonsense, that he is a bad decision maker, he's trash, he makes too many wrong decisions, he isn't clinical enough, he isn't consistent enough. How can he not be consistent but produce in nearly 80% of the games that he plays in? And if he isn't consistent in terms of producing in games, why are his numbers as good as the 2 over the last three seasons as good as the two best inside forwards in the league? It doesn't make sense to anybody with a brain. We've got eye test on the show now that's probably going to tell us, eye test, if Rashford is as bad as you will say he is, why is he producing outputs at the same level as superior players with better managers at better clubs? How is that plausible if he's so bad?
Well, first of all, let me address the people. Ladies and gentlemen, Terry is an example of what stats do to you. When you smoke too much stats, this is what happens to you. You do silly comparisons. Rashford ain't levels like these players.
So again, I've got to stop you. I know people don't like me cutting my guests off, but you don't listen. Your ear's full of wax or something, bro. I didn't say he was as good as these two. I asked a very simple question. If Rashford is as bad as you're saying he is, how is he producing at such a high level that the level of outputs is comparable? How is he doing that if he's so bad? And don't say penalties, because Mo Salah takes a lot of penalties as well. How is it? Answer the question. How is it plausible that Rashford is scoring and assisting at the same ratio as the two best inside forwards in the league if he's as bad as you say? I don't understand. Explain how.
You see, I don't just look at goals and assists. I said this so many times.
No, but I'm asking you about stop. I'm asking you about goals and assists. If he's as bad as you say at decision making, bad with creativity, bad footballer, how is he doing that? Because could you show me an example in the past of a bad footballer, like you say he is, who's produced at the same level as the best players in the league? How is he doing it in a bad team with a trash manager? How is it plausible? Just answer the question, I test.
Whenever I've come here, I've never criticized Rashford's goal scoring. I've talked about his overall game. I don't believe this guy does enough in a game when he's not scoring.
But you're not answering my question. Stop being a politician. How is he producing so much if his game isn't good enough? How?
Yeah, but I'm not denying that he scores a lot of goals. I've never denied he scores a lot of goals.
But then this is where it then comes down to. If he's not doing enough, but he's doing as much as the best players in the league, how is it fair to ask for more?
No, because I'm looking at his overall. I'm looking at what he does.
Do you rate Ronaldo?
I don't.
But his overall game as an attacking player is to create and score goals, and he's doing that to the same level and the same degree as superior players to him. So how is it acceptable to ask for mountains more from him? How much more do you want? If he goes up another 10, 20%, he's at 100% ratio. If he goes up another 12%, 20%, how much more? How much more do you want from him?
Listen, if you look at his dribbles per game, his chances created per game, if you look at No, because you're chatting rubbish. I'm not having you lie. He attempts the same amount of dribbles per game as Mo Salah and completes the same percentage. So what? Let me compare a sentence, please.
Yeah, Terry, let my man.
But he doesn't answer the questions. That's why I keep pulling him back, because he keeps making these accusations and then just goes off on a tangent.
I know, but we
go on then, bro. Go on, bro.
He scores goals.
Go on.
He scores goals. Yeah.
Yep.
But I don't, considering that he's not dribbling enough, creating enough chances, contributing in a build-up play. I don't believe he's scoring enough. If you're not going to do these other stuff enough, I believe you need to be scoring more.
What other things? So what other? Tell me what other things? What other things?
Like chances created per game, passes in the opposition half, getting involved in a build-up play, dribbling. I don't believe he gets involved in the game as much as I test. Sane.
I test. Let me. I will stop you there. You saying he doesn't dribble enough. One of his biggest criticisms that we've heard from many people on this channel, including someone like Aaron. Big up Aaron, you my guy, captain of the United Stand. Captain of that United show. He says Rashford just dribbles into cul-de-sacs too much. He needs to stop, get his head up, and actually pass the ball. So you saying he doesn't dribble enough contradicts what Aaron's saying, where he's saying he's dribbling too much. So which one is it, I test?
Well, we're not the same people, are we? Yeah.
So the thing is, and there's the issue with the eye test. your eyes are seeing one thing, where Aaron's eyes are seeing another. So how do you get that even ground?
I have some statistics from last season in the Premier League. Let me just bring it up 2 seconds. Okay,
Just a quick question.
Statistics from last season in the Premier League. Yeah, Adama Traore versus Marcus Rashford in the Premier League. Yeah, dribbles per game. Adama Traore 4.9 dribbles per game at 74%. Rashford 1.9 at 49%.
Yeah,
Key passes per game. Adama Traore 1.3. Rashford 1.1. Crosses per game. Adama Traore.
Hang on, whoa. Hang on, whoa. Stop talking. Hang on, stop talking. Rashford last season in the Premier League was doing 5.4 dribbles per game. Where are you getting your stats from? You're lying.
I'm talking about in the Premier League.
You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. 5.41. 5.41.
That's not true. 5.41 per game in the Premier League.
Attempts per game, yes.
Don't lie to the people.
Per 90 minutes. 5.41.
Okay. One sec.
Liar.
Wait, Terry. Wait, I test. Shut up for a sec.
Liar.
Terry, where are you getting your stats from?
Y Scout.
Okay, cool. I test. Where you're getting your stats from?
Sofa Score.
There you go.
So you're just chatting nonsense.
No,
I test. Oh, stop a second. Let me just say something to you. I test. I want to say this. You are right that Traore dribbles more than Rashford, but you've gone and absolutely done yourself. You think Rashford's not very good because he doesn't dribble as much as Traore. Marcus Rashford, just stop a second. I'm giving you an example. Marcus Rashford attempts over the last 5 seasons, attempts 5.81 dribbles per game and completes 50%. Mo Salah, who's been regarded as probably the best inside forward of the last 5 seasons, averages 5.73 dribbles per game and completes 50% of them as well. Mo Salah creates 1.58 chances per game across all competitions in the last 5 years. Rashford, 1.41. By the way, Salah's a lot older. So you're talking about Rashford not doing enough. But in terms of his creativity per game and his dribbles per game, it's on par with the best inside forward in the league. All you're doing is you're taking one individual player like Traore, who has exceedingly high dribble rates. In fact, he's attempting around 16 dribbles per game on average across all competitions in the last 5 years. You're taking a guy who's got an extreme level of dribbles that Rashford should be dribbling as much as him. But even the best inside forward in the league doesn't dribble as much as him. So does Salah not do enough then? Does Salah not do enough?
I didn't just say dribbling. I also said passes in the opposition half. Adama Traore last season, 12 per game. Rashford, 5.
Yeah, I can't trust you. I can't trust you no more.
Hang on.
I'm going to ask you a question. I test. Mahrez or Salah?
Riyad Mahrez.
Okay. Because now I get where your arguments come from. I get what kind of person you are. I get what kind of individual you are. You are one of those people that also would probably say James Rodriguez over KDB. Yeah, I get what kind of guy he is. KJ. He's one of those that like to see.
Oh, you know what he is? He's one of those guys that gets his stats from Sofa Score.
But do you know what I'm going to say to you though, bruv? But the point I'm making to you, this is where your body of work falls down though. This is where your body of work falls down because you're saying Rashford isn't doing enough because of he isn't creating those chances like you're saying. The problem that you have is who are you then doing your cross-referencing with? And this is my point to you. So I would then, it's fine to do that. If you want to do Traore versus Rashford, Rashford isn't good enough because he isn't doing what Traore is doing. But then what's Mo Salah, Sane, Mane, Mahrez, you could probably use Aubameyang because he's played out in that position as an example. What are they doing? What was Eden Hazard doing in the league? And then it's about doing a cross-reference and saying, well, actually, okay, so you found one player that isn't on that level. So I'm looking here now. I can't find the dude because his picture looks weird on here. There it is. So I'm just looking here at Traore, like you've said. Tell me some things that I want to go through this because we're going to give it the time that it needs. Everyone hit that like and share button, right? So Traore, for instance, give me some things that you think are important that you want to see Rashford do more of. Because I'm looking at this now. You said like passes into the final third. So this is how it reads. This is from Y-Scout, right? And Y-Scout have video evidence for every stat they put out, and I can look at it. Passes into the final third from Traore over the last 5 years, rather than one individual season, body of work, 1.99 per game. Passes into the penalty area, 4.8. What they call it, forward passes in general, 5.4 per game as an example. 5 crosses per game with an accuracy of 36%. Anything else you want me to add into this, mate? You tell me and we'll do a big comparison now. What other things are important?
I'll tell you. You're comparing over the past 5 years. We've
Yes.
all not Adama Traore.
No. You've got to do it over a period of time.
Eye test.
Eye test. Stop a minute, guys. All please stop. Eye test. What other things are important? Eye test. What other things are important? Dribbling.
I'm saying Adama was good before then, last season. But anyway,
No, eye test. You just said he didn't break out until last season. He's been playing professional football at Premier League level since 2014, 15 when he signed Villa, when he was around the same age as Marcus Rashford.
So you have to take it into consideration because you've got to compare age for age. He's also a year and a bit older than him. So what other things? Dribbles, I'll give you that, 15 of them. What else do you want me to look at, eye test? What else is important?
Passes in the opposition half.
Well, no, forward or backwards? Forward or backwards?
Forwards and backward in opposition half. You could do both. Big chances created per game.
Okay, so we're going to do chances. Slow down. So we're going to do chances created per game, shot assist there, and then big chances created per game as well. Right, so let's do the comparison, right? So I'm now going to go to Rashford's, and we're going to do these comparisons as we see it. So Traore passes into the final third, 1.99 per game. Rashford, 2.3. Passes into the penalty area. Traore, 4.1. Rashford, 3.8. Forward passes, Traore in the opponent's half. Okay, so you're looking at Traore's at 5.4, Rashford 6.3 as an example. We're then going to move into the other area, the crosses. So Rashford, we all know Rashford doesn't attempt as many crosses. He averages just 1.8 per game to the 5 that Traore does. Traore is more of a winger, but that's absolutely fine. We know he beats him on that. Dribbles, Rashford's at 5, and we know that Traore is at 15. So those two areas, 110%, he does better than him in, and he produces more of. So you can take that, and everyone's cool with it. Shot assists, we know Rashford at 1.4, Traore at 1.3. Big chances created, 0.2 for Traore, 0.35 for Marcus Rashford. So barring crosses and dribbles, Marcus Rashford edges him in those areas. But as we know, scores and assists a lot more. So he's more clinical when he's in those kind of areas and adds it in. But this is where the real work comes in, eye test. What you do is go, right, I found 3 things I'd like that Rashford doesn't do anywhere near as good as Traore. I'm going to use that to bash Rashford with. What you then do is compare Rashford's numbers to other top-level players in those areas and Traore's, because Traore is outstripping Mo Salah for crosses and Mo Salah for passes in the final third and Mo Salah for dribbles. But that doesn't make him better than him. It doesn't. What
Terry,
you're saying makes no sense.
Yeah, Terry, I need to say something. It's been on my chest for a little bit. Eye test, you've brought in stats, yeah, and they're clearly not your best stat, because clearly stats getting ain't it. You getting it from SofaScore fans, so it's a bit peak. So let's use your wonderful eye test. It's your name, and let's use your eye test. Surely, if you have got such great eyes of football, you should also understand that the teams that they play in are completely different. Wolves play in a 3 at the back counter-attacking formation and a system. So therefore, Adama Traore will guarantee get more dribbles against players because he has more space to run into and run at them 1v1. Marcus Rashford plays in Manchester United, where most teams play deep against Manchester United, and therefore his dribble success rate is going to be a lot harder because there's less space to run into. There's less time for him to be on the ball. Adama Traore's got more crossing because, again, the Wolves system catered to a centre forward, a number 9, who thrives off heading the ball. So therefore, he needs to be crossing more because that's the system he plays in. Marcus Rashford doesn't play in a system where he needs to cross the ball because he's an inside forward. And we don't have a number 9 until Cavani came, where we're required to cross the ball. And even as that's the case, it's not Marcus Rashford's job to be crossing the ball. It will be the fullbacks, because that's where the width comes on from. Because again, Marcus Rashford is an inside forward. You're bringing these statistics and things, fine. He is better than Rashford at doing these things, but you're mitigating your own eye test that you say you got, yeah, by bringing these stats and not using the context that they're used in, fam. If they were both in the same system and the same team, doing the same kind of football, and then Traore was beating him those statistics, then yeah, cool. You've got an argument. Don't be coming up in here with your blurry eyes, fam, calling eye test. You need an eye test, bro. You know what I'm saying? Go Specsavers, fam. Because you clearly cannot see the systems, the teams, the players around them also affect the way that these players play.
And do you want to know what's interesting about that? You say that as well, and you won't know this eye test because you may have still been in your dad's ball sack when this happened. But when Man United signed Ashley Young, 2 seasons running, Ashley Young had the most chance created by any individual player in the Premier League. I remember being excited about that, and my dad was like, "Nah, son, but you're not thinking about it logically." When Aston Villa play, nobody really sits back against them. Meaning, when they attack, he's going to have more time and space. When he goes into the Man United team, he's going to be doubled up upon. Teams are going to sit back. They're going to be deep. It's going to be harder for him to create. He isn't going to have the time and space on the ball. You'll see his numbers drop dramatically, and they did almost overnight. And that's the same type of thing that KJ is talking about. Interestingly, I'm just sitting there looking at Mo Salah, again, who plays in a better team than Marcus Rashford. Would we all agree on that?
Yes.
And he's a better player than Marcus Rashford. Would we all agree on that?
Yeah.
Statistic.
Not by far. I'm not a huge fan of Salah.
Okay, and that's fair, but I'm using him as an example, right? Now, when you look at the amount of crosses that he attempts per game, Mo Salah's only attempting 1.5 crosses per game, which is only marginally more than Marcus Rashford. Why? Because they don't have a centre forward that they're aiming for the same way United haven't, and their crosses come from Trent. So it's all about who in your team is assigned to be the crosser of the ball as well. And Traore is definitely that when it comes to Wolves, and Salah and Rashford are not. When you look at like passes into the final third, he's only doing 2.3 per game over the last 5 years on average. Passes into the penalty area, only 3.5 per game, which is less than Rashford. Passes forward per game, 6.1, less than Marcus Rashford. And I'm giving these examples in terms of chances created, 1.5 per game, only marginally better than Marcus Rashford on an outputs level. But that's because Mo Salah, again, is playing against predominantly low block teams. There isn't the space and the width to do what he does. It's just an absolute madness that you would dare insult our intelligence and keep this agenda going. And you still, by the way, 17, 18 minutes in, and this is a podcast show, so we can do this, haven't answered the question. If he's as bad as you say, why is he producing in 78% of the games that he plays in? For all the lack of dribbles, lack of crosses, the lack of passes in the opponent's half, why is he delivering still, bruv? Surely your end result is the most important bit. We've got Monstar on the show. Monstar, what are you saying, bruv?
First of all, Brendan Rodgers is bottling it once again. They're getting whooped by Fulham again.
I didn't even know that game was happening.
2-0.
Jeez!
Adeoman Lookman, my guy, fam. Oh, they scored a pen. Fulham actually scored a pen properly this time, people. Let's go.
But also, listen, I'm tired of people disrespecting, especially eye tests. Stop disrespecting Marcus Rashford. This kid, not only is he delivering off the pitch, feeding the kids and that, but obviously I know that's not on the pitch, blah blah. The numbers, this is what people don't realize. Yeah, how old is Rashford? He's 21, right?
23, just turned 23, yeah.
23 years old. For people don't realize, for these young guys to be delivering number one at such a high level at such a young age is unseen, and he's been doing this 4 years, ever since he stepped on the scene in the Premier League, scored those 2 goals against Arsenal. He has consistently been doing it. For someone at such a young age, we don't see players at that age, except barring, your Messis or Ronaldos. A lot of the biggest stars to ever touch the pitch and play were not delivering at this age.
Ronaldo, when he was younger, first at United, eye test would have hated him, fam.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But this guy, and Marcus Rashford has yet to prove, that this is just a blip. It's a purple patch. He's been doing it consistently over the season since he started. Last season, he delivered double digits in goals and assists. Like, come on. Like, what is the issue?
For me, I personally, would have Rashford as an impact player and try invest in a winger that, gets involved in a build-up play more, creates more chances. Yeah,
Bro,
me,
but the club have got that. Do you realize? Do you realize that the club have got that? There's two areas. So there's a man called Alex Terrace who's come into the football club, who on that left-hand side is going to be tasked with that. That isn't what Rashford's there for. Inverted forwards are they're played in wide positions, but he's still a striker. They don't. Now, by the way, if you want someone to do that, you still use Rashford where you need him, and that's in those central areas, scoring goals and having that clinical touch. If you said to me, I want to find someone even more clinical, I can take that on board. But for me, and by the way, if you want to go with someone that's more creative in that position, great. But then you've got to then find someone who's going to replace his goals. Maybe that means the Cavani or Martial in the central area scores more. That's fine. But just I want a more creative player. That means Rashford is trash. It's ridiculous, bro.
I test your argument. You want a more creative, someone someone who wants. He said more in the build-up. For one, is foolish because Marcus Rashford has a high number of assists and he's evolved in the build-up quite a bit. Thank you very much. If you actually watch the game, like I said, if you actually watch the game, you see how much he's actually involved in the game. But this is about it. Okay, so you want someone to replace Marcus Rashford. Name me this is the issue. Name me wingers in world football who have better numbers than Marcus Rashford, and I guarantee you, not many, bro.
In terms of goals you're talking about, but I'll tell you the wingers that I would like. The type of wingers I like. I like Sane. I like Amara. I like. I would bring in Zaha.
Okay, why? Okay, what's it? Why is Zaha?
For me, Zaha.
I want to jump.
No. I test. Why is Zaha?
On Zaha is unbelievable. For me, I believe if he was at you see, Terry always speaks about his numbers, but you could see now his numbers are increased because he's put in a different role. Yeah, first of all, he wasn't playing in a role where he'd score a lot. That's why his numbers weren't up there.
You could have assisted a lot, though.
What? Are you saying roles are a thing? So wait a second.
Yeah.
So Marcus Rashford is in a role where he doesn't need to be crossing the ball, dribbling at people as much as you want him to, and that's an issue. But now that Zaha, it wasn't in the role to score goals, and now he is. It's okay now.
Hold on. KJ, can I just say, one thing people don't realize is when these players play for smaller teams, teams that are tailor-made for these players, the likes of Harry Kane, Zaha, Danny Ings, all their chances go to these players. Hence why they might get more goals. You know what I mean? I'm not necessarily. No. It's true. It's true because when you're in a Man United, when you're in a Man United team, you've got Rashford's got to share those goals and assists with the likes of Bruno, with the likes of Martial or whoever. Do you know what I mean? He might not get as much as an output as them, man. But even Zaha, who you're talking about, he has stepped up. He's been at Man United before, and he's proven that he's not good enough to play at that level.
No, let's not do that. Let's not limit that. This might be biased. Hopefully, we'll be watching this. But listen. At the end of the day, right, Zaha was not presented with a good enough opportunity at United. We have to be fair there. And he wasn't given the right coach to work under. And that's the facts. Me personally, has the Zaha ship sailed? Yeah, it has. He's a bit, the maturity of his game. I don't think it'll be a suit right.
Do you know what, Z? I agree with you quite a bit there. I feel that I felt sorry for him at his time at Man United. I don't think he was given a fair chance. My criticism is just that I don't see him produce enough. When I think even in the team he's in, I see him get into really good positions, and then the final ball for me too often hasn't been good enough. This season though, he started off very well, and I'll praise him for it. And I'll praise him for it because that's what I've asked for. And that's where I'm not biased like I test. So if I turn around and say, listen, I think Zaha's good, but for him to go to very good or above, he's got to triple the amount of goals and assists that he got in comparison to last year. If he starts doing that, you'll see me say he's moved into that level now. I won't hold a grudge against the player. And if that's what you prefer over Rashford, that's fine. But you are proving my point as to why the eye test is flawed massively, because you're going on preference, bruv. It's like you're going on preference.
I'm still confused. But
it comes down to this, guys, because we're gonna be. But it becomes about preference, and I respect your preference, but you use your preference to say, but Rashford's not good enough. Rashford's not this. I want him involved more. Just a little statistic as well. Rashford receives the ball 22 times per game in the opponent's half compared to just 13 of that of Traore, meaning he's involved in more of Man United's attacking play than Traore. But do you know why he gets it more? Because Man United attack more. So that's a statistic that's always going to be in Rashford's favour because of how we play football. So he's actually factually involved in more attacks per game than Traore is. But the difference is he'll have less room to run and dribble and pass into because of the low block, meaning he has to do more sideways passes. He has to move the ball more, meaning he has less time to be impactful to the naked eye. And if you don't know that about football, I feel sorry. This isn't FIFA. I know on FIFA, when you play FIFA, no one plays low block, do they? Everyone attacks.
Terry, no, they all play low block. That is the meta, bro. Like,
really?
Don't get it twisted, fam. Yeah.
KJ, let me just say something. The funny thing is, right, and I'm going to say this. Remember when I say this, right? Yeah. When Haaland, if he eventually gets to move into the Premier League, right, a lot of people will start saying Haaland misses a lot of opportunities. He takes a lot of shots before he scores. I'm telling you this for a fact.
Same thing with Timo Werner. What people realize is that people are seeing Timo Werner miss chances now. They didn't realize Timo Werner was missing these chances at Leipzig.
This is why I say when people talk about stats aren't key. I see so many people bigging up Haaland, but check how many shots he has per game before he scores.
Well, conversion rate is very, very important, which is why I'm not writing off Martial, because Martial's conversion rate for the last 3 up until this season, where it's awful, it's been above 25%, which is massive, and it's huge, and it really, really is. A comment here from Zar says in the EPL, Rashford has 41 goals in 151 games, Salah 83 in 130. So you can't, if you do the maths, you can't put them in the same bracket. So there's two things. My percentage was based on goals and assists, but equally, with Mo Salah, he had that one mammoth year at 117%, which skyrockets him. In the last 3 years, it's been 71%, 66%, and 76%. What I was talking about is where Rashford finds himself over the course of the last 12 months. That's key because Rashford's got to a point where he's producing in nearly 80% of games at 22 to 23. Mane and Salah were not doing it in the Premier League at that age. And that's my key point here. We've been half an hour on this, and I think it's a great conversation because my point about Rashford isn't that he can't get better. I can see he can get better. I want to see him dribble a couple more times a game, cross 2 more times per game, create another chance per game. Of course I do. But he's written off at 22, 23 years of age. People are saying, he's never been clinical. That's what you'd say about a 33-year-old that misses a chance. He's never been good enough, him. You don't say that about a kid. That's a weird thing to say.
I'm still confused, though. I'm still confused. Sorry. I'm still confused. You said when you're talking about Zaha, you're saying, the reason why he hasn't got as many goals as Terry wants is because his role, that wasn't his role in the team. He's played in a different role, but now he's been more in a central role. He can score more goals and he's playing well. But why can't roles be applied to Marcus Rashford?
Yeah.
Do you know what it is? Expectations.
Wait, Monster. Let Arteta answer that. I want to hear it from his mouth. Why can't roles be applied to Marcus Rashford like Zaha then?
Okay, no problem. If Rashford is playing in the inside forward role and his main role is to score and he doesn't need to dribble as much, create as much chances, cross enough, for me, if that's the case, and I believe he should be scoring even more than he is, because last season he only scored 11 goals from outfield play. Yeah, 11. If you're not going to do the other part of the game, which is chances create, dribbling, crossing, I believe, and you're going to be a goal scorer, you need to be scoring more than that for me if you're going to be that type of player.
Right. So let me just ask one thing. You said if that's his role, bruv, that is his role. And the next question is to you. That's a fair bit of criticism and a fair bit of constructive criticism. My point to you would be, one sec, sorry, Yusuf. My point would be, how does that compare last season to other 22-year-olds in the elite leagues across Europe? Because that's the barometer, isn't it? You can't compare him against a 28-year-old in his pomp when he's 22. How many other 22-year-old inside forwards scored 11 league goals from open play last year in Spain, England, Germany, and Italy. Inside forwards, not strikers. How many got 11 or more goals from open play in his age bracket between 21 and 23, say? How many did it? Now, you must know because you don't think he's doing enough. But to say someone isn't doing enough, you have to understand the level at which you're judging somebody. For me, he's one of the highest scorers from open play in those top 4 leagues for a player in his age bracket. So I go back to my original point 34 minutes ago now. Why is the barometer for Rashford so high? Why is the bar for him and him alone so high? Because if he isn't good enough, in what you've just said at delivering goals at 22, barely anybody in the world is. Why is Rashford criticised? So you've literally proved us right because you know you can't answer it because you know he's one of the highest goal scorers in his age bracket in one of the top 5 leagues. You know he is.
Can I just say, remember when we had the Chelsea Man United preview and Harp Pope was there? And I said the same thing. I said in his age bracket, remember, because obviously his age bracket's Mbappe, maybe João Felix, Dembele, all these guys. I asked, in his age bracket, barring Mbappe, who is doing better numbers than these, whether it's scoring goals, getting assists? Them lot will tell me Dembele is better. Yet Rashford's outputs is almost 10 times better than Dembele. Dembele don't even freaking play for. He don't even play.
Dembele's been injured.
Well, Dembele's been injured.
He's a much better player than.
He's a much better player.
He is, but he don't play. He don't play. And if he isn't fit, like Michael Owen was the best striker in England for a long time, but once his hamstrings went, you wouldn't have bought him, would you? I mean, it's all part and parcel. But this is the thing when it comes down to it. Like Rashford's in a really high bracket of football players. The criticism that he receives is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And look, I know how good Mbappe is. I've seen him play internationally in the Champions League. But on the Champions League, like Rashford's got 5 goals in the Champions League this year. Like, what's your view on that eye test? 5 Champions League goals in 4 games.
Just saying, Mbappe's
Well,
got 2.
it proves,
he's got
it
none.
proves my point because 3 of those goals came off the bench, and I believe he would be a very good player off the bench.
But
Yeah.
then 2 of those
That-
goals
that's-
came from the start.
I want him to play in the future. Yeah, that RB Leipzig substitution that was deadly. That's the role I want him to play.
I'm just
Because I
saying,
think he's an impact player.
I'm just saying, yeah.
And who would you put?
Him and
Who would you
Mbappe
put
are
there
in the
instead?
same. Him and Mbappe are in the same group, you know. And Rashford so far has outperformed Mbappe. I'm not saying he's not better. Obviously, we know this, but I'm just saying he has outperformed him by far so far this season in the same group in the Champions League.
I
Just saying.
I just want to ask you a key question. Do you know how football works? You say you want Marcus Rashford to be a super sub at the age of 23. Do you know squad rotation thing? He's going to have to start games. He's going to have to play loads of games.
The main stars, I want to buy.
If a 20, I'm sorry, but if your 23-year-old is a super sub, sell him. Sell him because you'll never be good enough. Because what 23-year-old is a super sub?
Now, there's a couple of points that were made that I don't think really reflect the picture. There's a big difference between games played and minutes played. Two of our main players, Martial and Rashford, they've played under Mourinho for 2.5 seasons. They didn't start together. They would get rotated. So if you look at their minutes, they're much lower than the likes of Salah and Mane. Now, one other thing that I feel we always get wrong is the peak years. Now, some players, they peak at a younger age, others peak at a later age. That's why I don't say I know Rashford's going to become better. This might be his peak. I think he's going to improve, but that's not necessary. And one final thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention is, for me, an attacker's output is his currency. That's all that matters. Rashford is an attacker. He needs to produce. And against the top 10 last season, Rashford has 11 goal contributions. That's more than anyone in the league. He produces against the top 10. Rashford is a clutch player. If you need him to win a game, he will win the game. Yes,
That's what he against PSG twice.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I like Rashford because I think if he's coached and if his decision making becomes better, you know, the heights that this kid can reach is amazing. You always see not just his teammates, a lot of the England internationals who play at other clubs actually big up Rashford quite a lot. They always say he's the most skillful, how he trains, what he produces in training. And that's the thing. I still see Rashford trying. Do you get what I mean? Like Bruno, for example, yesterday, for me, overall had a poor game. But the simple fact that he could still nick a goal, the guy will not stop running, the guy will not stop pressing. You love that, you admire that, and that's why I
and I think
Rashford.
Sorry,
over Martial.
And you know what I like about, again, with Rashford and it's just like Wilfried Zaha is a very skillful player. 28 years of age, so he's in his pomp. Like right now, is the best Zaha you will ever see overall footballer. Rashford's still 5 years away from achieving that, and barring injury. I remember like 2 years ago, people calling him Rashbeck, saying he's no better than Danny Welbeck. And I remember saying to people, listen, by the time he's 25, he'll have scored and assisted more goals than Danny Welbeck. Will he have won more trophies? It's all dependent upon the team of which you're involved in. Like if Rashford was 15 years older and was playing for a Pete Fergie team, he would have been amazing. And for me, it's the reason that Rashford gets what he gets is because he burst onto the scene. And you know what happens when a player first bursts onto the scene? You always hope and pray, oh my God, he scored 2 braces, 2 games running. It's like, that's never going to end. Everybody overhypes him. You can't help yourself. You get carried away. And then reality sets in and you realize that it's a long, hard road. With Rashford, because he burst onto the scene and becomes so famous, his career, and this is why I think it happens, his career is over scrutinized and has been since day one, because he scored a brace in his first 2 games, scored in every competition he played in, like for England, everything. He scored like on his debuts for England, debuts in certain competitions. He was killing it. And it was like, now the bar was set really high, but everybody with a brain knew that it would dissipate slightly, because it always does. If you listen to any football manager talk about youngsters, there's one word that will come out of all their mouths. We expect inconsistency with young players. And it isn't until they hit 23, 24, and then go into their 25th year that you expect that to start to stop. So anyone that says, no, that 20-year-old's inconsistent, yes, that is normal. That the non-normal thing, that the weird thing is to be 20 and consistent, like Trent. Trent Alexander-Arnold's a freak. What he has done as a general rule for 3 years is not normal.
Yeah, Trent,
Rooney,
the likes
Rooney
of,
as well.
Rooney was a freak between
Mbappe.
What's his name at Bayern Munich?
Yeah. Alfonso. And by the way, and you can find examples of players like that, right?
I haven't.
But they are, but you'll see Shy Havertz, but you'll see that they're like 2 or 3 players a generation of that age that at most take time to come on. Now, for me, I think Rashford's going to be one of those players who gets better and better and better. I think by the time 26, 27 is when he'll hit his absolute peak. But you could even see that. If you go and look at just the goal statistics of Messi and Ronaldo, you look at where their peak was, look at their age, 26, 27. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. Even those two didn't become their most consistent at 26, 27, 28. It's normal. And like I've said, Rashford is not exempt from criticism because he's young. But this weird barometer, this weird bar that's like, he's not clinical enough. Oh, he's converting like 24% of his chances, not enough. You do realize Messi over the last 10 years, his conversion rate is 16%.
I think, Terry, this is, I think ever since Messi burst onto the scene, because he burst onto the scene at 16 years old and was just doing amazing things that was never done before. If you look at, let's say before Messi's time, you would barely even see someone under the age of 21 starting in the Premier League. They used to start for the younger teams, innit? So I always tell people, when these young players, whether it's Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mason Greenwood, when they're not necessarily performing, I always say they're young. Yeah. They're not even supposed to be playing at this level.
Mate,
we saw it yesterday. Mason Greenwood had a poor game. He missed shots and missed chances, which you normally don't think he should miss. But you know what the difference is between, like, let's say Arsenal and United right now? Saka and Greenwood are both going through bad patches of form. The difference is we have a Cavani who came on the pitch and was like, I've got your back, little bro. Let me show you how it's done.
You're absolutely right. And Gary Neville spoke about this very candidly and articulately. By the way, do us a big favor, everyone tuning in, smash the like button. Please go into the link in the description below and sign up to our Discord server. We will be taking phone calls on that very, very soon. Basically, once I work out how to do it. But basically, like he was saying, how he feels sorry for the Man United youngsters, because he went, you never really know how good any of them are going to become. You can predict it, but you never really know. And we know that because if you just type Premier League Wonder Kids 2008 and see whose names were tipped to go on to be stars, you always end up laughing because of who did and who didn't. They're always quite funny, right? But he basically said that when the class of 92 came through, and then when the kind of Rooney's, Ronaldo's came through, he says they were never expected. There was never any pressure put on them by the manager or the fans to be the match winners, to be the people that dictated play. Because Man United lost its elder statesmen, its senior figures, suddenly Rashfords and Greenwoods and McTominays and other young AWBs were in this team. It's like, well, you've got to be the match winners. And that's unnecessary pressure to put upon these players. They're not there for that. And there's no coincidence for me that Man United, by the way, we have improved since January last year, factually, by double the amount of games we're winning. That doesn't strike me as strange that that's coincided, one, with Pogba returning when he did at 25, 26, but Bruno coming in at 26. You've then got Maguire there at his age. You've then added Terrace and Cavani to this squad who are older. Suddenly, the Man United team are slowly starting to look better. Yes, there's quality there, but age plays a part. Maturity plays a part. People that have been there and done it and worn the T-shirt. And you need that mixture of experience and youth together. One, to help nurture the youngsters. But secondly, I expect more from Pogba, Bruno, Cavani, Terrace, Maguire. My expectation for them is higher than that of the younger players because they've had their learning. You know, at the end of the day, someone passes their driving test and they're a year into driving and they mess up and have a bit of a crash. You're like, oh, look, you're new to driving. It's fair enough. Someone's been driving 20 years. I don't expect the same mistakes from them because you're experienced. You've learned how to do it. And for me, like, this criticism that isn't just Rashford. Greenwood will be the next guy to get it. Like, I look at Saka. Saka's having a bit of a bad time at Arsenal at the minute, but he's under the pressure because they ain't got no one else. And it isn't fair on Saka to put him under that pressure. You know, if he was at Man City, Saka, he'd be getting, oh, do you know, he's in a bit of bad form. We can put him on the bench because we've got 3, 4, 5 players that can come in. At Arsenal, if you don't play Saka, who you got? Kalashnik. Yeah, that pressure you're putting on Saka is going to kill him. It's going to kill him.
Okay, you say he's young and all that. Look how many 23-year-olds are doing what he's doing. But yeah, he was playing in a Premier League since 2016. The amount of game time he was getting since 2016,
right?
No other player his age was getting. Yeah, so he was able to develop more than most people.
Can you prove that? Can you prove that?
23-year-old.
What other 23-year-olds in the Premier League have got considerably less minutes than him in their professional careers?
That's what I'm saying.
But who?
He's got more minutes.
No, but who though? Who's got more than in his age bracket?
He's got more than
who?
Most people.
Like who? Name them. Name them.
I don't know.
Look at
because you're guessing. You're guessing. You're guessing.
He gets more.
Bro, no, I'm not guessing because he's been playing consistently since 2016. He's had a lot of game time. It's not guessing.
Do you know Wilfried Zaha? Do you know Wilfried Zaha in the last 5 years has played 6,000 more minutes than Rashford?
Yeah,
Shut up!
I'm saying people Rashford's age.
Like who? Yeah. Give me some examples, and we'll give me some examples.
You're not giving no names.
Give me an example.
Look at Christian Pulisic's playtime.
Injuries don't count. Don't count injuries.
Okay, name 23-year-old.
No, you're making the claim. You name him.
You up the point, so you have to bring up the name.
No, but I'm saying. So
this point
he's been getting more game time than most.
And who? Name them.
Let's not act stupid. He's been getting more than most people.
He's better than most.
Yo, Itis, how can he be getting more than most people when you can't even tell me the people he's getting more than?
Do you know what? Christian Pulisic is better than all of them.
Just everybody. Yo, Marcus Rashford at 23 is getting more game time than everybody, bro.
The thing is, you got to remember, Itis, right? Itis, you're coming with arguments that are not making sense, mate. Because if you're gonna come and say he's paid for more than time than 23-year-olds, you didn't have to bring those names onto the table. You haven't mentioned one single name.
Listen, let's not act stupid now. We all know he's been getting more game time.
Then who?
Yeah, but he's earned it. That's the difference. He's earned it. You got to remember, Rashford's originally a striker, right? He originally came in to be a striker, right? When he first came on the scene, he was a striker. He's been shifted out on the left and still producing numbers, right? Yes, his decision making can improve, but this is the thing that it takes time. You got to look at it. These things take time. It's only because there's so it's crazy right now because there's so much pressure put on people compared to how it was back in the day. You could be eased in, but I think maybe because players have more power, the average, the standard of the average player has improved, high compared to how it was 5-10 years ago. And these players have got more demand. So it's like literally these players are not being eased. And after the fans who've been watching football a long time are not even giving these players the opportunity to grow. Like, give them time.
It is as well. I think nowadays it's a thing where fans are putting clubs under pressure to play the youngsters.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, it was a thing where we don't even want youngsters in the pitch. You know what I mean? Let them go and gain experience, blah, blah.
The thing is, what they need to understand is there's not experience in the club for these youngsters to play. Like now, United can start putting in youngsters, and youngsters can, because we've got more older heads there. When you're bringing in youngsters to play with youngsters, it doesn't work. Mentally, it don't work.
And that's Callum Hudson-Odoi is clear, by the way. It's clear.
That's why Lampard lacked last season compared to where he could have been. And now having an older head on the pitch like Thiago Silva, that brings a bit more stability and, it offers the youth a bit more confidence. Do you understand? You have to take time with these youngsters. You have to take time with these youngsters rather than always constantly putting pressure on them to do things.
23 since 2016. You can't be calling this guy a youngster.
You can. No, he's a young player. And he's just turned 23, okay? And he's had 4 full seasons, and he's now starting to improve. You can't rewrite what's considered a youngster because of what Rashford's done. So I've just done some numbers here while you've all been talking again. So Rashford has had 10,903 minutes, okay, since his debut. Leroy Sané, by the way, a year older but spent a year out injured, 9,190 minutes. So there's literally like just under there's about getting towards 2,000 there, but man missed the whole season. So barring that season being missed, he was getting the same amount of minutes. Raheem Sterling's a year older, but played nearly 4,000 more minutes than him. Kylian Mbappe is 2 years younger and has played just 2,000 minutes less than him. So he's had more game time. I did look at your boy Isak, who actually is 2 years younger, and he's played nearly 8,000 minutes, which is almost the same as Rashford, but he's 2 years younger. So again, I'm just doing these numbers quickly. I'm not even looking at it in any great detail. He isn't disproportionately playing more than these other players, bro. What you're saying makes no sense. You're just lying to yourself again. Like, it doesn't. Like, do you know someone who just? There's someone I want to check. Slightly different position, but I want to look at Jack Grealish, who is 25. So he's basically 2 years older than Marcus Rashford, right? And he's only now really starting to click. I know he went to the Championship as an example, right? If we just look at league minutes that this young man has played, right? Let's look at league minutes, Championship, Premier League. I'm going to click on both of these and we'll see how many minutes he's done, right? He's 25. He has played 13,000 minutes that he has played. And by the way, over the next couple of years, let's just look at that there. So it's just over, sorry, I'm just going to do the math here. 13,240 minus Rashford's numbers. I want to make this accurate, right? So it's 2,300 minutes, divide that by 90. That's about 25 games as an example. He was young when he was coming through there, right? So he's 25 years of age. It's about on par. In that amount of time, Rashford's probably going to be just a little bit in front of him, which is pretty good going at the same time. But it's taken him to do 25 to really push on and move forward. A lot of people here are saying Ndombele as an example. We can look at Ndombele. Like, Rashford will be in front of some and he'll be behind others. But do you know what I will say when you start looking at this is I actually think Rashford's sometimes been used when he shouldn't have been as well. Like, and that could be detrimental to you, being played too much or being played when you're out of form or whatever it may be. But all these things need to be taken into consideration. What I find very strange with you is you're looking for every reason to not praise Rashford. I just find that a very strange thing to do. How old is Ndombele?
23, 24?
He's 23 and he's played, I'm just looking at it now. Sorry, I didn't put his Champions League and Europa League minutes here. So let me take them out. He has played 11,000 minutes. So he's on 11,000 minutes. Like, let's look at, I just say it's ballpark. Like, some will be more, some will be less. Depends on the manager who likes them. But I don't really get your point. These are all young players still, aren't they? Barring Jack Grealish. Like, would you not consider Mbappe a young player because he's played nearly 9,000 league minutes?
I would say is now past the point where we have to call Mbappe a youngster.
That's nonsense. Do you know do you want to know one of the biggest reasons why? It's a scientific fact. Your frontal lobe as a human being doesn't fully develop until you're about 25 to 26. There is no coincidence that sports stars and athletes, barring female gymnasts, tend to peak, and maybe that's changed now, maybe my head's off, tend to peak between 25 and 30. Not only when their body becomes at prime physical condition, barring injuries, it's when their brain fully matures and they think clearer. There's more clarity. There's no coincidence in that. So for you to say, oh, Rashford can't be considered a youngster because he's played quite a lot of minutes, by the way, not disproportionately more than other players within his age group at the elite level, is weird. It's weird.
You have to consider the amount of game time he got, and also the amount of game time he's got at a big club, at Man United.
Okay, so one sec. Would you also discount the fact then that his game time has come under 3 fouled managers in a club that's in turmoil? Should he not get like brownie points for that?
But you could also say these managers have given him a chance that he wouldn't have got anywhere.
No, but you told me, you've been on here and told me that like Ollie can't coach, can't train, can't do anything. So that's obviously the last 2 years, like Rashford's been wasting because he's not been getting the coaching level. So are you not going to praise him for still progressing, even though he's had a bad manager? Would you not give him credit for that?
I would say so, yes, because maybe a better manager, he could have developed more. So yeah.
So the point being is like it's not all on Rashford. So Rashford might have been given a lot of minutes, but if he's being coached by bad people, that shouldn't be a bonus for Rashford. It has to be a hindrance on him. I'm confused now. So he's been getting coached by bad coaches, and you're saying he should have his young badge taken away. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
He's got a lot of top level experience. He's
had bad coaching though, so he hasn't been doing it properly, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It's like if you go to the gym and you're lifting weights incorrectly, you're going to hurt yourself. You're not going to form the muscles in the right way. You're going to cause long-term injuries. You're not going to be a good weightlifter or a good bodybuilder. You need to do it properly. So if he's had bad coaches, they haven't been training him right, and you've been the guy that said they were bad, you can't be saying that he's had a lot of minutes. So that means he should be better than he really is. Those two things are hypocritical. They don't make sense. So he's either had good coaches or he hasn't. And if he has, and he's played lots of minutes under a bad coach, you can't be saying he should be better than he really is. It's mad, bruv. Mad.
Arteta, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking. Yeah.
I'm 18.
So you won't remember when Ronaldo first came to the club and how annoyed certain people were with his over dribbling, his diving, not his unpredictable crossing, strikers not being able to read it. You would have been here slating Ronaldo. Mm-hmm. What happened? Ronaldo trained. Ronaldo picked up. And we start to see it later on in stages. When Ronaldo first, what is that? Rooney was miles clear of him. And then what happened?
He caught up, baby. You know what I'm saying? Overtook him.
Hello? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we can hear you.
Rooney was miles clear of him when Ronaldo in the early stages. Miles. And Ronaldo trained hard and ended up progressing. You would have slated him.
I test. I got you're 18, so you're a young buck yourself, yeah. How would you like it if whatever you do in school or college, or if you're in a job, that all I did was say, I test, you've done this for a while now. You should be better. You should be better. You should be better. That's all I did. All I did was get on to you about you're not doing this right, not doing that right. You don't do it as well as this guy around the corner. He doesn't do you can't do a good job as him. How would you feel if that's all I did at your age?
I'd be like, you're right. I've been doing this for so long and I'm still not good at it.
So you're telling me would you give up?
Would I give up?
Would you give up? Would you give up that doing and be like, oh, I'm not good enough, so I'm just gonna?
I've had so much experience. Yeah, like Rashford, he's had so much experience that most people his age haven't had.
But
lies.
Would you give up?
Lies.
Wait. Would you give up? I test.
No.
So why are you saying you basically say Rashford should be giving up?
No,
and should be put to. You're saying that it should be put to the side.
I believe for Man United's sake, we should try and make Rashford a super sub, and we should get
and that's all fine, but a lot of your reasoning doesn't make sense. So again, you're basically I have a lot of experience at your job. I've got a lot of experience at my job at 35 years involved in the industry that I worked in. But there's a reason that when you go into certain professions, the more senior people are older, because the experience counts, you know. And to try and say that, you know, Rashford has had quite a lot of minutes, so there is no doubt, but it's on par with other players of his age group within world football at the elite level at that point. And so it's weird that you're trying to make that a negative again about him. And again, you're still not going back to my point. After all these things you say, he's still one of the highest producing attacking players in European football. So I get your preference about you'd rather somebody else, and that's absolutely fine. But you use it as a way to diminish Marcus Rashford. You then, as KJ said, I'm plagiarizing him here. You then drop the eye test and you forget about what role Rashford plays. You don't take his role into consideration. You don't take his skill set into consideration. You don't take what he considers into consideration. You just want something different. So for me, again, I don't think your issue is Rashford. Your main issue should be the coach, because it isn't Rashford's fault that he isn't being played how you want him to be. That's on the coach, isn't it? Like, Rashford's doing what the manager is telling him to do. I just know what it is. You just don't like Rashford. And I think Rashford could... What would Rashford... If Rashford started scoring and assisting 40-plus goals a season for 4 or 5 years running, or something like that, what would he have to do, barring dribble more, which he isn't going to do? He isn't going to do that. And he probably isn't going to create more per game, because that isn't his match. Barring that, what would he have to do if he determined, go, I was wrong, he's a top-class player?
Like I said, I addressed this already. If we're going to consider his role, where he doesn't have to dribble as much, creating
he doesn't. So that's already there.
Score more. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How much more? How much more? Put a number on it, please.
Okay, I want him to score, I would say 15 plus outfield goals. Not just...
He scored 15 plus outfield goals last season.
He scored 20 plus.
He scored 20.
I'm talking about 15 goals every season, from outfield play. He scored 11 goals last season.
So all this annoyance for 4 goals. What? All this annoyance for 4 goals.
4 goals.
Hold on. Wait, Terry, can I just say?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm tired of people saying this. Whether you like it or not, penalties count towards goals. I don't want to hear.
You
scored penalties.
Do you get vexed? Do you get vexed when the player misses a pen?
Chelsea won the Champions League on penalties.
Yeah. Itis, do you get vexed when a player misses a pen?
2 seconds. I'm not saying penalties don't matter. I'm just saying because Rashford's not on penalties anymore. We need to consider that.
Yeah, and he's not on penalties, and this is what you're not considering. He hasn't been on penalties regularly since Bruno came in, which is nearly a year, and Rashford's outputs have gone up by 2%. He's maintained and improved on his goal to game ratio since then. Why are you not noticing this? So so when he was taking the penalties, he was scoring or creating a goal in 76% of his games. Since the penalties were taken away, he's now at 78%. So it's got better. Do you know what that means? Tell me what that means.
That he's got better.
So why are you not happy?
Because it's not the levels.
Of who?
There's no point.
I just wanted to get... Look, I know it's been an hour on this subject, but it's been a fascinating conversation. What it proves to me, when all is said and done, is that this is where the eye test...
No pun intended.
This is where the eye test... No pun intended. Great word on stuff. This is where the eye test fouls the eye test mob. And again, everyone calls me a stat guy, and it makes me laugh, really, because, again, you lie about me. You have to lie about me to put me down. I do both. I look at the eye test and I look at the stats. So my view is this. I think Zaha on the eye is quite beautiful to watch. But if you're going to put him up against another really beautiful to watch football player, how I'm going to assess who the best is, yes, of course, you look at the club and there's little nuances. But if you're 28 and you're still at Crystal Palace, I want to know why another big club hasn't come in for you as well. That should play a part in your thinking. But I'm going to then compare it on numbers. So when I look at Bruno Fernandes and I look at KDB, I look at 2 very highly skilled attacking midfielders. The only way to split them fairly is their outputs. Because arguing over who's got the best pass on the outside of their foot, who looks better in a pair of pants, you know, who does what. For me, it's outputs, clutch moments, performances in the big games. Those three areas is what you then start to look at. You have to. Otherwise, it just becomes an argument about preference, and there's no point in that. You have to then look at the cold, hard facts of the matter, like we do with our teams. In the Premier League right now, there are three top teams performing so far this season: Tottenham, Chelsea, Liverpool. How do we know the best is? It's the one that wins the most amount of points. We don't decide the league winner by who we all individually think looks the best. It's about who wins the most. So when it comes to players and they're of equal standing, you look at things, clutch moments, influencing games, goals. Now, it's easy with attacking players to look at goals, chances created. When it's central midfielders, you have to look at their ball retention, their pass completion. I think that things like their secondary assists, as an example, if they're always winning the ball back, you know, their interception rates, their tackle rates, their defensive duels. There are still statistics you can look at, as well as look at them technically as football players. And this should be done for every single position fairly. You can't compare a DM versus an attacking midfielder. It's absolutely stupid and scandalous. But if you're going to compare Rashford, you compare him to other inside forwards. On ability, all of us on the call might have a different view and opinion. So what it comes down to is, well, who at the end of today, when it comes down to brass tacks, is producing? And if Rashford is scoring in 20 to 30% more games than Joe Bloggs, but their skill set is equal in different areas, Rashford's the better football player, in my opinion. Taking up, you know, that's just how it has to be done. Otherwise, you never get to a consensus. Because again, like I say, you don't pick the league winner by who plays the nicest football. Otherwise, West Ham might have won the Premier League a few times. They've had some nice football over the years. There's no doubt about it. Listen,
One last thing.
Go on, mate.
Yeah, so what the last thing I want to say to the viewers, please, people, don't do stats. Stats are ruining the game.
Hang on, stop. You've just sat here and told us all the stats as to why Rashford's not a good player, you pleb. The only way you've been able to put Rashford down is eye test. Stop. You just said Rashford isn't scoring enough goals. That's a stat, bruv.
If he's
no, that's a stat. Stat. It's a stat. Shamal. I love this game. Shamal. I test.
You're
mad.
You're speaking like, yeah, you've been around for all these years saying, oh, nowadays people is about this and that. You're 18, bro. You've just barely got out the school sack, fam. You've just come fresh out the womb, bro. Like, you still got the umbilical cord on your belly button, fam. Bro, you can't be coming out here and telling people how to view football, yeah, when you've just about seen it. You've already admitted you don't even remember Valencia, fam. Until you're Valencia, fam.
It's crazy. It's crazy here. It's crazy, Ites. When you say don't listen to stats, but what would make Rashford better is if he scored 4 more goals from open play a season. That's literally a stat. The thing that would make you like Rashford is a statistic, but you're telling us to not look at statistics. How does that make any sense? And do you know what that comes down to? That's because all the eye test merchants hide behind the eye test category so they can just discount any evidence to suggest why the player they like has got a flaw or got a problem. But have you noticed how they all, and we know that eye test merchants I'm talking about on socials, will always use stats to put down players they dislike. Rashford's conversion rate, Bruno giving the ball away too much, Paul Pogba walking too much. They hate stats, but they love them when it's to put somebody down they dislike. The irony and the hypocrisy in these people is absolute. Do you know what it is? It's laughable. And I test, honestly, bro, I know you love stats. You love stats. You know how I know? Because you keep tweeting me statistics from La Liga about how well Real Sociedad are doing. Bro, that league table's a stat.
You know what these man want? These man want Rashford to do 10 step overs, a rainbow flick, and do all of that. That's all they want.
I'm telling you,
he's young. Literally, I'm gonna start getting on him, man. He's a kid, fam. Like he hasn't experienced life.
He's not a kid. He's 18. He's a grown man. Man can vote. Man can vote. You know, just think, people like that. iTest can vote for government, bruv. Like, that's the worry, innit? No, I ain't joking, iTest. I'm only bantering you, bro. Listen, you'll learn, mate, as you get older. It's about both. It's about what they look like and what they deliver. But I think with Rashford, if Rashford dribbled never 3 or 4 times per game, did step over, rainbow flicks, wicked skills, made everyone go, wow, but didn't score or assist as much as he does now, I think iTest would like him more. It's eye test right now. You're at that age where style means more to you than substance. You know, it really. And do you know how you know this? Boy racers are the epitome of this. A boy racer will buy a clapped out car for $1,000 and then spend $8,000 doing it up to make it look souped up, rather than spending $8,000 at a car showroom on a really good car that doesn't break down, that gets into work, that looks okay. Do you get where I'm coming from? Boy racers are the epitome of youngsters. They're all style over substance. What looks better? You know, they're mad. They're mad. They're the guys that spend all their money on clothes and the first round of drinks to look rich, and then can't buy can't buy the girl a drink and get a taxi home because they got no money. Go on,
when
mate.
they're comparing players, listen to what they say carefully, because you always got to read between the lines or listen to what they say. They don't say someone's better. They say someone is more talented.
Better ability. Yeah.
Bless him, man. Oh, listen, he's just a kid, isn't it? Like he's just started watching football. Like I was like that too when I was a kid, innit? Like when I was like, I love X player, Y player because he does all these flicks. Yo, fam. When you get older, and realize, these fancy tricks and all these things, as much as I love them, ain't the thing that gets them through football and gets them to win titles. Then
do you know what's mad? I was at a football thing once, doing some it was like a charity event, and what bloody Premier League footballer was there? Chelsea star, Italian guy, short, little, tiny. Zola was there, and it was like a five-a-side thing with Barclays, and Gianfranco Zola was there. And he wasn't really coaching anyone. He was just turning up. And this team of young sort of guys played. And there's one lad, really skillful, just dribbled. And I remember Zola just sort of saying to him, he said, pass the ball more. So why? He goes, a pass will move faster than you ever can with the ball. Just get it to your teammate quicker and move into right. He goes, choose the right time when to dribble, as an example, but pass it more. If you go, he says something along the lines of, if you've got the opportunity in the game to dribble 10 times or pass 10 times, pass 10 times. And that's Gianfranco Zola, right? And I remember listening to that guy and see, these ability merchants and these eye testers need to listen to what footballers say. Now, he was an amazing dribbler, but he knew when to dribble and when not to. And that's the thing for me. But eye test, are you still there or did you leave?
He's there.
Yeah, I'm here.
Bro, listen, man, it's always a pleasure having you. Are you real or are you like a character? You can't be real, bruv.
No, he's real, fam. He's real.
I love the beautiful game. I don't care about these XGs, XA. I watch the blood clot thing.
Yeah, but then if you watch the game, then there's nothing statistical that Rashford can do to make you improve. Then it's about what you see. So why would you give a statistic as to what he can do to impress you and make you like him? And if it's about preference, then you shouldn't even be in these debates because you're just talking about what you like. And that's just mad. It's like you coming on and saying, I prefer chocolate milkshake to vanilla. Well done, you. Go eat it, bruv. Like, that ain't my problem. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care about people's preferences. You know, we all know the most bought dish in this country is curry. So there is no debate that it's the best dish because the most amount of people like it the most. It's not a debate. I don't care about your preference. It's as simple as that, bruv. Do you know what I mean? The best singers sell the most. The best movies, like, get the most views, sell the most DVDs, get the most downloads, whatever. That is the way it works. Personal preference is just you and your mates having a chat. It ain't real life, bruv. Do you know what I mean? All right, last season. Go on, mate.
Do you play football as well? Or do you just watch it?
Nah, you don't play.
I play football.
I know what you are, bruv. You were that guy that was wicked in the playground. You were wicked in the playground, but crap in the team, innit? You were like the baller in the playground at lunchtime, but when you go into the school team, you can't hack the system and the style, and you don't make it, and you hate it because you can't actually operate in an actual game. You're like those freestylers that do all the kick up and flicks, but they can't actually play ball, innit? That's you, innit?
Robinho.
That's you, innit, bro? I heard by that's true. Your PE teacher was like, yeah, you try too hard, too many flicks and tricks, keep it simple. And you were like, no, bro, I love the blood clot game. And then he sent you out, innit? That happened to you, didn't it?
No, I'm better than everyone here. Facts.
I test. What level? I'm really intrigued now. I love talking about actual, like, people just playing football. What level do you play at?
Can't lie, but thingy.
I hope you don't lie.
That's a lie. That's a lie right there.
Fingy.
Let him finish. What level do you play at, bro?
Yeah, can't lie, but Real Madrid offered me a contract, but my mum said I need to study. My mum said I need to study.
Real Madrid, bro. Real Madrid.
Wait. Listen. Okay, if Real Madrid offered you a contract, that means you've been playing at a level somewhere else. What club did you play for if you're getting a contract from Real Madrid, fam?
I've been playing with the club next to my house, you know. Then Real Madrid.
So where did Real Madrid see you? Where is it that Real Madrid saw you?
You know, some scout came.
Where did he come to? Where did he come to?
No, I was joking, man.
I know you're joking. We saw straight away. See, I played all counties Saturday football is the highest level I got to. Same bad. But I've always said distinctly average. I don't even know how I got into that level, and I got found out at that level. Remember one game, 20 minutes in, I was getting run ragged by this winger. And the manager went, I was like, yeah, guys, I'm taking you off in a minute. Just be prepared. Don't throw your toys at your pram. He went, you're not for this level, are you, mate? I was like, nah. I was so happy he took me off, bruv. And I did that thing as well. I got took off. I limped off for no reason. I thought, I'm limping. I got to go out, keep my head up high. I was like, yeah, I found my level. It was the worst as well. I wasn't bad as a kid, but I barely played football for about 8 years when I was doing my kickboxing. And I stopped. I thought, I'll go back to football. It'd be fine. I'm 21, 22. It'd be great. Don't ever go back to it if you never kicked a ball properly.
Well, listen,
mad.
If you want to talk about actual level as a normal person, Monster played academy football, bro. So if you're not playing academy football for a decent club, yeah, then don't chat to me about no.
2 teams, by the way, 2 teams.
2 teams,
Jeez,
fam. 2 teams, fam. That's levels, fam. You would talk about levels, yeah? You ain't levels, bro. It just peaked, fam.
My nephew's doing good. My little nephew just signed for Tottenham, doing all right. Doing well as levels, and my cousin. I don't know about football. My cousin, professional footballer, knocked Chelsea at the UEFA Cup, bro. Bang with his head. I don't. We've got ballers in my family, but I just unfortunately couldn't really do it.
Leicester pulled one back.
Oh, there we go. Listen, everyone who's tuned in this evening, thank you all very, very much. 9 p.m. tonight, that Arsenal show. I can't believe we've been on for 2 hours and 10 minutes. Tess, you are a legend, bro. Until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Bye bye.